It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Wow, we have a great panel for you. Kashmir Hill from Fusion, from Engadget, Roberto, Baldwin, and an old friend of mine, David Coursey, who hasn't been on in ages. We're going to talk about the latest news, including Facebook Live, WWDC, E3, VR, the Moto Z. It's all coming up next on Twit.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Twit This Week in Tech, episode 566, recorded Sunday, June 12th, 2016. I prefer cash. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what they're paying now and $5 off your first purchase, go to harrys.com/twit. And just in time for Father's Day, check out their limited edition Father's Day set. And by audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum plan and get 2 free books. Go to audible.com/twit2. And by Squarespace. Squarespace is the simplest way to create a cover page or beautiful website for your portfolio, blog, business, or online store. Enter the offer code TWIT and get 10% off. And by FreshBooks, the super simple cloud accounting software is giving thousands of freelancers and small businesses the tools to save time billing and get paid faster. Try it free at freshbooks.com/twit. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news. Oh, I like this panel. This is going to be a very interesting show. That's my prediction. We'll start over here on my left. Kashmir Hill is here from Fusion, where she works so hard on a lovely enterprise called Real Future. Hello, Kashmir. Great to have you.
Hello. Nice to be on.
You hacked a stranger's smartphone, you lived on Bitcoin, and you paid a surprise visit to the NSA's Utah data center.
Better than hacking a stranger's smartphone, I hacked their home.
Smart home. Oh, well,
yeah.
That's trivial. That's so much easier.
It was disturbingly easy, actually. It involved a Google search.
I mean, I thought you were an elite hacker, but no, she just hacked a smart, house. That's easy. They're just sitting there, sitting ducks. We did a whole show this week on Security Now on baby monitors, which are trivially easy to hack.
They're getting hacked. Yeah, they've been getting hacked for years. And
Trivial.
My brother did not be able to improve the security.
My brother has one of he had the monitoring camera from the same company that had those baby cameras that got hacked.
Yeah.
And one day he's sitting there watching TV, his wife's ironing, and he hears from the camera, "Hey, hey you guy watching TV, hey lady, hey you lady ironing." He's like, "Oh my!" And he turned everything off. And
my camera's talking to me. That's Roberto Baldwin from Engadget. Hey, I want to do that. That would be fun. I want to do that to people.
he was kind of freaked out. Hey you.
Hey, you.
Hey you guy watching television.
Also with us, and it's kind of an interesting story here, David Coursey, who I think is an old friend and has been on our shows many times, but he asserts he's never been on our
You are an old friend.
Yes.
I've been in your studio.
Yes.
I've been in studios that you have been in just before I was in, but I don't think you and I have ever conversed in front of an audience before.
Well,
yeah, I don't think so.
I've known David for more than 2 decades. I can't understand this. Anyway, David's been knocking around with the tech reporting for years. You saw him on CNET. He was at Forbes. He was where else?
Demo, PC Letter,
everywhere.
InfoWorld.
That's right. You worked at PC Letter for a while, didn't you? Did demo.
I was at Ziff for a little while. I've been everywhere. eWeek. I've done USA Today.
The funny story. A lot of people tweeted me when the news came out that Gawker was going in bankruptcy and was going to sell out to Ziff Davis. They said, "Oh, you must laugh at that." As a long time like you, David, Ziff Davis employee, and I said, "No, wait, that's not Ziff Davis." The people who own PC Magazine, Extreme Tech, the old Ziff Davis assets are far from Ziff Davis. It's J2 Global. They're known for
it's not
eFax.
Bill Ziff anymore.
Oh, it hasn't been Bill Ziff for years.
Yeah.
But now it's like it's the strangest thing because J2 Global, they do eVoice and eFax.
Oh, eFax.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big one. Well, apparently they've made some money because they've then started to buy up content, digital content stuff. So they bought PC Magazine. That's where I guess you get the name Ziff Davis, but it ain't your father's Ziff Davis. It's a very strange conglomeration. So I don't know.
Well, they needed another E, so they bought eWeek.
eWeek.
Yeah,
they own
Geek,
eWeek. Geek.com. Fuse Mail. It's a strange. We live in strange times. That's all I can say.
It's diversify.
Yeah. So what do you think of this Gawker thing? Gawker announced that because they are not being, they have to put up the money that they owe Hulk Hogan, $140 million. They can't do it. Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they put themselves up for sale. And I don't know if the news, if Davis will get them or not, but they've put up a $100 million bid, which is kind of the starting point for the auction. If nobody else comes along, then they will. We were talking before the show began. I mean, this is kind of one of those, for journalists, no-win situations. On the one hand, Gawker dragged journalism through the mud in some respects.
Well, I think a lot of publications over the years have dragged journalism through the mud. I mean,
Yeah,
they've
not
done
alone
some
in
good
that.
work, but you're only going to remember, like, you know, what I worked at Gizmodo for 6 months.
Gizmodo's good. Jalopnik's
Yeah.
good.
It's just sometimes
Okatu is good.
Gawker's Gawker, and there's, I knew there. I mean,
What's your relationship with Nick? Do you like him? Is he a nice guy?
I don't have a relationship with Nick. That's my relationship. I talked to him
Nick Denton,
once,
the owner.
when I got hired at Gizmodo, and then I might have said hi to him at a company party, and that's really about it. I've never had a conversation with him other than, "Hi, welcome to Gizmodo." Hi.
Apparently, at
Thanks
one
for
point,
giving me money.
Nick
Right.
Denton and Owen Thomas, both of whom are openly gay, announced or felt that it was best to out Silicon Valley stalwarts who are also gay but closeted, including Peter Thiel. And Peter didn't take well to that. That was over a decade ago. Because at the time, maybe even it's true today, I wouldn't be surprised, it'd be very hard to raise money in some areas like Saudi Arabia if you were known to be gay. Mm-hmm. And he took offense to that and then subsequently secretly funded Hulk Hogan and perhaps others' fight against Gawker, a fight that Hulk won, although that will be appealed. And it was enough to put Gawker out of business. And while many journalists feel like, gosh, we really ought to defend the First Amendment, others say, couldn't have happened to a nicer fella. Where do you stand on it, Kashmir? What's your take on this?
Well, I think Peter Thiel is far from the only Silicon Valley billionaire who hates Gawker.
I'm not that fond of him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, during Ballywag's heyday, they went after a lot of billionaires. Sheryl Sandberg at one point reportedly said that the person who wrote Ballywag should be shot. So they're not beloved in Silicon Valley. But I criticize Gawker a lot. I think they sometimes go too far in stories. I thought the posting of the Hulk Hogan sex tape before we found out about Peter Thiel's involvement was horrible, and that they shouldn't have done it. But I also think Gawker does really great, important, provocative reporting, and they're always pushing the line. And sometimes they go too far. But I do think that they have done really good work over the years, along with stuff that I found questionable. And if they do end up declaring bankruptcy and getting sold, Gawker itself might go away, the actual main property covering media, but their blogs are going to stick around. Gizmodo, Lifehacker, Deadspin, Jalopnik, they're such valuable properties. They're going to keep doing what they do, maybe not quite as provocative as they have been in the past.
Gizmodo got in a little trouble, too, with checkbook journalism, right? They bought the iPhone 4 when it was left behind in a bar.
Yes.
And Denton's never shown any reluctance to pay money for a scoop. So I mean that
which is which a lot of journalists, including myself, find and I worked at TMZ, so
yeah,
I worked at TMZ and Gizmodo, so
you know what you're talking about.
I've been everywhere.
David, you were concerned that this is Peter Thiel's actions have a chilling effect, and that you're worried about the next billionaire coming along and suing because of something he doesn't like.
Uh-oh.
Oh, David, you're muted. You're muted. Unmute.
I can't hear you.
Yes, I'm unmuted. I'm better now. Some of today's billionaires, I think, are way more unhinged than the old ones used to be. I never lived in particular fear of Bill Gates, although Philippe Kahn certainly did for years. I never thought that those people were going to come sue me. But, you know, at InfoWorld, at the places that I worked, we never did any of the kinds of things. But we called names, and we certainly made some of these folks pretty unhappy. You'll remember when she was used to run Novell, now is executive chair at Google. CNET put his home address and information like that they got off of Google. They published it, and there was that big boycott.
That was a big deal, wasn't it? Because
it was a big
But they said, hey, look,
a-
we Googled it, Eric. It's public.
Yeah, Eric Schmidt, you know, why are you so touchy?
Yeah.
You know, you do this to us, you know, but you're a billionaire, and therefore you're much too
But
good
he
to have
didn't
this
to
happen
his,
to
you know, he didn't sue them or fund secret lawsuits behind the scenes against them. So
No, they just boycotted CNET, and eventually they kissed and made up.
these things happen. I remember on Tech TV, we were very concerned about showing how to hack the Xbox, the original Xbox when it came out, because Microsoft was a big advertiser. But to their credit, and this was when it was Ziff Davis, the management said, no, you go ahead and do your editorial job, and we'll worry about the lost advertising revenue. And a lot of times these boycotts don't last very long.
Yeah.
I know Microsoft has in the past boycotted PC Magazine for a week.
A week?
Or whatever. You know, it's hard.
Hardball.
Yeah, I know. Hey. Well, it is, actually. It could be a significant loss of revenue.
But that was back during the day when the publishers and the vendors had significant ongoing relationships, and there was some equality of terror between the two sides.
Right.
Once you have all of these little publications that are struggling to survive, even brand names that we know, they don't have any power.
You know who I'd worry about is Apple. Now, maybe less so now, but they put Think Secret out of business, sued them out of existence. Under Steve Jobs was never reluctant to sue.
Steve Jobs wasn't reluctant to do much of anything. Steve Jobs put his mind to.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the concern isn't like, you know, let's say Engadget or, you know, where I work right now or any other place, you know, they write an article that's then makes a billionaire angry. They don't have to win. They just have to keep
That's the point,
funding
right?
lawsuits. And so, you know,
it's
it's
completely
the Scientology, you know, it's out of Scientology's playbook in the 90s where
just harass them to death.
Yeah, they would just sue you into oblivion. They didn't have to win.
Right.
They just had to tie you up in court so you couldn't afford to do anything anymore. They'd buy you.
That's
and
the
then,
real feel. Because you have the legal right to sue, and the courts will decide if the First Amendment trumps your right to privacy. And I think that's all sensible. But when you can sue and spend so much money on lawyers that it actually puts somebody out of business before the judgment, that's another matter.
Yeah, that's I mean, and I think that's the concern for.
But remember, Steve got the local police, the local constabulary, to knock down Brian Lamb's door.
No,
right?
it was Jason Chen.
Jason Chen's door, and come and take all his stuff because he'd had the iPhone 4. Steve had no problem going to the local police and saying, "Hey, you got to help me." Actually, there was a task force, like some Silicon Valley investigative task force.
Yeah, they went, and the police were compliant. I mean,
they were doing what the execs wanted.
They have something that belongs to us. It's stolen as far as we're concerned.
Right.
And so the police were like,
And there was a Borland incident much earlier than that in which executive leaves Borland, goes to work someplace else, lawsuits, arrest warrants. I think somebody got arrested as part of that. And I don't want to say who because I'm a little foggy on who it was. But yeah, that was Philippe Kahn and Borland going after somebody.
There's a long tradition of this.
Yeah.
It's a long and occasional tradition.
Yeah.
But it's usually from a company.
Right.
Yes.
It's usually a company, like a large company will sue you. This is an individual who has a beef with a publication.
It is not in any respect illegal for what he did, though, right? You can secretly fund.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, I think Gawker, they're looking for some sort of legal way to sue him. You know, to countersue or whatever. I guess not countersue because he didn't bring the lawsuit.
It does seem like
But to sue him.
at least a tradition, if not a law, that you should be able to face your accuser, and a secret accuser funding secretly. It doesn't feel like fair play exactly. On the other hand, I'm so happy to see them go.
Hey, it was a venture investment, Leo.
That's what it was.
Peter gave
He saw it as an investment.
An investment.
What's the ROI
and it's
in that
taking-
lawsuit?
Yeah, and it's taking ROI on the lawsuit. How much did he put in? What's $140 million plus smiting one's enemies? What is a smite worth?
It's big
What
bucks.
is a smite worth?
Big bucks. I'll tell you, I'd pay almost unlimited funds for smiting some people. WWDC and E3 start tomorrow. Let's start with WWDC. Apple. I feel like Apple is struggling a little bit to reclaim the magic, and now the latest is no new hardware will be announced at WWDC. It's going to be exactly what it's supposed to be in title anyway, which is, hey, develop, here's the new OS 10, here's the new Mac Watch OS, iOS, here's what we're going to do. The end. No virtual reality, no new MacBooks, nothing. Is there a risk if Apple does that people just go, oh, God, they're so boring these days? I'm about to say that. They're so boring these days.
If they can fix Siri, or how about search in iOS?
How long have they had Siri?
Like, search in iOS is horrible. You pull it down like 50% of the time, it's like nothing.
Go ahead and try to find an app on the App Store.
Yeah.
Right?
If they can fix those things, I'm fine. Because, you know, they're going to have their event in October or September for the holiday season. That's when all the stuff's going to appear, and everyone's going to go gaga, going to buy a new phone, computer, so on and so forth. And so, you know, but they have to take care of, you know, their operating systems. And if that means like stepping back and really from hardware and just focusing on the software, as a user, I'm happy. I think, you know, the you know, people would be upset because they're not going to hear about a new iPhone or Amazon Echo clone of some sorts. But
Kashmir, when you sit down at the editorial meeting at the beginning of the day and you say, let's cover Apple, and people go, what, there's nothing going on there. Ever since the encryption thing's over, it's been boring.
That's the thing. That's the Apple story right now that's so interesting, is still the battle over encryption. And so, you know, the big thing that they could announce that would be very exciting is after the whole debate with the government, they said that they were thinking about encrypting Apple iCloud by default, which is not encrypted now and is a way for the government to get in when they can't get the phone itself.
And messages, right?
Messages have been encrypted.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
My messages have been encrypted for some time.
But iCloud, we know they will. It's encrypted,
iCloud,
but they will give the key to the government anytime they ask.
They can get into iCloud. Yeah. So that would be a big change. But yeah, I mean,
it's encrypt everything.
Software is not quite as exciting as, you know, the newest iPhone.
Yeah. Well, there will be a new iPhone someday. I'm a little. You know, we talk about this enough on MacBreak Weekly. We don't need to talk about it here. But I worry that Apple has lost interest in desktop computing. You're sitting there with a MacBook Air.
It's working.
Hasn't been updated in years. The Mac Pro hasn't been updated since 2013, and it wasn't very good to begin with. And I just feel like they've kind of lost interest. It's like,
I mean, they make
so well.
They make so much money on those phones.
Yeah.
They're like, we could make some computers too, or we can make a lot more money with phones. Yeah, it's, you know, I'd like a brand new MacBook Air that does something magical.
An OLED function key bar.
Maybe not that, but you know.
Does Apple really have anything new out on the horizon? As I remember, Steve Jobs was going to reinvent television.
Yeah, that's over.
And when Steve died, you know, it was thought, well, they have maybe 2 years of pipeline there. So I guess we're at the end of that pipeline, because the watch was in the pipeline, I believe. But this leaves them with nothing. Declining revenue unless they can get into all kinds of new international markets for the phones. And certainly not very much excitement for the phones.
And in fact, I think they did. I mean, the China bump is done. They got the bump last year or the year before, and now it's leveled off. India's being reluctant to let iPhones in. They may have shut their nickel on that in particular. I think they're all in on the car, right?
I think there's still potential growth in China. I mean, China's huge.
Yeah.
You know, and as that country gets, you know, richer, really, on a citizen level, you know, that's going to be a lot more.
But they have some serious competition from some very strong Chinese companies like Huawei and Xiaomi.
I love Xiaomi.
They do great stuff.
And the government.
I love that phone.
Do you have a Xiaomi?
I have a Xiaomi.
You have a
Note.
Mi 4?
I have a Note. Yeah, I love that phone.
And where'd you get it? Because I don't.
Xiaomi.
Mr. Xiaomi.
Senor Xiaomi.
Yeah.
It's great.
Good
luck getting one. Sorry.
They don't sell it in the United States, and everybody's waiting to see if they're going to. Of course, Hugo Barra heads the team now. He was at Google.
It's my favorite phone.
Wow.
Well, not my favorite. I mean,
No,
my
you're just
iPhone's
one
my
of those-
favorite phone, but it's my favorite Android.
You're
phone.
one of those hipsters you say,
Oh yeah, I had it first.
if you could only have my phone, you would love it. But you can't. I'm sorry.
You probably even heard of this phone.
It's a what do you use?
I had a Note before you even.
Xiaomi Mi Note. What? Too many. I have to admit, too many names in technology these days sound like you're talking baby talk.
It does.
Google and Xiaomi. And
You run out of words.
you run out of words. They're all out of words. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We got to talk about Phil Schiller revamping the. I don't care about that. The App Store, major iTunes overhaul. Who cares?
Well, iTunes.
They need it.
If anything needs to be fixed, it's iTunes. I've written like 5 articles over the course of my career saying, okay, please fix iTunes. For the love of God. Please fix iTunes. And it's still
supposedly
the Microsoft Word of Apple.
Supposedly this week. We will be covering that live. We do our usual kind of Mystery Science Theater 3000 coverage of the keynote 10 a.m. tomorrow, Pacific time. That's 1 p.m. Eastern, 1700 UTC. Be Annie Anako, Megan Maroney, and me. We'll be doing that, and then we'll, of course, talk more about it on Tuesday with Mac Break Weekly. Our show today brought to you by Razer. Harry's. It's Father's Day, you know. Have you got a Father's Day gift for your dad or your grad? Because we've got graduations going on right now. May I recommend, this is the Harry's Father's Day kit. We've talked about Harry's before. Harry's kind of is reinventing the razor industry by buying the factory in Germany and then selling them direct to you. They deliver to you in a subscription, so you're always got fresh blades, but you always have to start with the Harry's kit. And look at this. This is really nice for Dad. I really like this. You get this is a new handle for them. It's kind of a soft touch black handle. You get, of course, 3 blades with the kit, and they have a new blade carrier that's kind of designed for travel. They've got the travel cover. This is the stand for the razor. I love this. And you can get this engraved for Dad, too, if you want. Like, you're a swell dad. And you put that on the counter there like that. And then Dad gets his choice, or you get your choice for Dad, of the Harry's gel, and it's a full size, or the Harry's cream. This is what I use. I really like it. It's a sleek, giftable box, and you can add the engraving. You can add a personalized card. I got a personalized card that says, "To Twit," from Harry's. It's arrived. For the dad that appreciates aesthetic and function, this handsome set includes everything he needs. And it came from 59903 star 11 star 0017. Thank you, 59903. Appreciate that. Those nice thoughts. $40, but we're going to show you how to save a little bit. And this giftable set will get your dad started with Harry's. If you've not used Harry's, you gotta try them. Great blades at about half the price of what you pay in the grocery store or this drugstore where they lock them up behind plexiglass. Why pay $32 for an 8-pack of blades when you can get them for half the price? And they're great blades from Harrys.com. Now with their iOS app, it's easy to order and easy to renew. Just 4 taps of the mouse. Harrys.com/twit. We're going to give you $5 off your first purchase if you use that URL. Harrys.com/twit. Check out their Father's Day limited edition set for dads and grads. Harrys.com/twit. $5 off. Something Dad will actually use. We are talking the week's tech news. David Coursey, my old friend, is here from decades gone by. And great to have you. I don't understand how I could not have ever had you on this show before, but I'm glad we finally got together.
It has been a while, but I'm happy to be here. And I shaved just before this show.
You look good.
With a Harry's razor that I did not immediately fall in love with, but on about the 4th shave, I decided that it worked really well and I liked it.
Took you 4 shaves.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was using these very expensive
shave is just blood
16,
gushing everywhere.
No,
I never cut
just
myself
fine,
with Harry's. It's
but
really good.
Yeah,
way.
I don't cut myself either.
Yeah.
It just took, and maybe it was the balance, but it's a great razor and great blades.
Yeah.
It took me about 3 tries, and now I bought more, and that's what I use.
I love it. Me too. And
I also use Squarespace if you want to let me do another commercial.
Yeah, they're coming up.
Squarespace.
Stand by. We got the Squarespace ad just around the corner. Not a requirement, David. You have to understand. You'll come back even if you don't help me with the ad. That's okay.
I am happy to help you with the Squarespace.
I think this is bizarre. Apple is, according to Bloomberg, getting getting its new radio chips, not from Qualcomm, but from Intel? I thought Intel was getting out of the mobile business. Intel laid off 12,000, or was planning to lay off 12,000 people, cut out its projects for mobile phones, mobile phone chipsets. But apparently, I guess they still make the radio phones, and they're going to sell them to Apple.
Isn't the question how big's the order?
Yeah. Well, Apple likes to second source, I'm sure, because you don't want to be beholden to any one company.
7
Who's
phones.
going to say no to Apple potentially ordering a zillion of these things?
It's really interesting to watch these stalwarts, Intel, of all people, struggle in the new world, you know, and find it hard. Nobody's buying, apparently. Nobody's buying PCs. And they're finding it hard to make their way in the new mobile world because they never did get a mobile processor going.
Well, they got it going, but it was like 4 or 5 years too late.
Yeah.
And then the first phone they put it in was just horrible.
The scale processor. Some said that that was really Intel made a strategic error 10 years ago.
It was a huge error.
Yeah. And not going after that Apple iPhone more.
I think myself and another journalist almost made the person who was running Intel Mobile cry at a dinner once.
What'd you do?
We just kept asking him questions like, why? What did you do? What was wrong? Why did you?
Come on.
Why? And he's like, no, and we just kept like, you know, that's what we're there for. We're journalists. We're there to ask questions. And he
cried.
Yeah, I feel bad a little bit, but not really, because my job, and you know, they should expect that when I'm around, I suppose. I don't know.
That's why no one likes you.
That's why no one likes me. Yeah. This is the only place I'm welcome.
You're among friends. The other badgerers. Apple, or Bloomberg says Apple will use the Intel chips in the AT&T, I guess GSM phones, but not on the Verizon chips. Those will be Qualcomm. That makes sense. And if they're going to do it on AT&T phones, they'll do it on their Unlocked and their T-Mobile phones as well. Those are GSM. And I would guess the Sprint would also use the Qualcomm chips. Qualcomm owns this market. iPhones sold in China, according to Bloomberg, will also be on the Qualcomm chips. Apple has not commented on this. But that's, you know, it's a little tiny bright spot in what must look very grim to Intel as the future goes mobile, and Intel does not. It's not like AMD is knocking them out of the park either, though. All right. Didn't spur any great discussion here. We'll move on.
Hey, I have a Broadcom story about Internet of Things whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sure.
Is it about them being hacked?
No, this was a presentation I went to with a vendor, and it was a press conference event probably 4 or 5 months ago. And the presenter is talking about all the wonderful things that the Internet of Things is going to do in agriculture. And it's, you know, it's going to tell you what you need to spray, where you need to spray, what you need to do, and he's talking about all the great opportunities there and how many jobs are going to be created. And I collar the guy after the thing and I say, what do you mean? One guy could run 100 farms sitting in a control room, God only knows where. And he says, but what about all the development? I said, how many times do you have to develop this stuff? You know, once the Internet of Things is basically built and you have the big data analytics built, how many employees does that take going forward? So when people tell you that the Internet of Things is going to create lots and lots of jobs,
the other way around,
I just look at this and say, yeah, at the end of the Internet of Things, it's the Internet of no jobs. It's happened already. It's continuing to happen. And there's no reason to believe that the Internet of Things is somehow going to make everything okay for the jobless. There are going to be 3 people with jobs who are going to be, you know, these the Bill Joys of the world, the Bill Gateses of the world, those kinds of people will have jobs. And, you know, us mere plebeians will be here wondering, you know, where all the work went, while they still expect us to buy their stuff. That's the really rich part of it.
They'll still be the guy. I worked on a school farm for a few summers, and I still had to be the guy to go out and fix everything that broke, like the water lines and everything. So they're still that guy's gonna have a job.
Those aren't the best jobs.
No, they're not. No, it was a horrible job.
We had
it's a good job when you're like in high school and you're poor.
Right. If you like dirt.
Yeah, if you like dirt and
animals.
We all know
technology will not work perfectly.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll ever be a time when there's only one person who can run it all.
So
and then they always will. we'll get our universal basic income, that they're experimenting with.
Right. Yeah,
Oakland
sure.
soon.
All those
That's gonna
people will
happen.
become security researchers because the Internet of Things is just a big mess. They're going to be the people who patch all the holes.
There will be lots of security jobs.
See?
Isn't that the challenge though? For my kids are in college. If you're in college right now, trying to map out where the jobs will and won't be is quite a challenge. Who knows? Who knows?
It's
Right?
going to be a billionaire and sue company and sue
I'll be a
publications.
billionaire. That's good.
Come on.
Well,
Autonomous car mechanic.
even lawyers.
Someone's gotta
we
fix it.
we had a guy on father and son team who had just written a book about the future of professional jobs, and they said, don't assume that machine intelligence can't also do a lot of the jobs that lawyers and doctors do better.
The last job AI is going to take is
This job,
developing
the
AI.
one we're doing right now.
AI is going to be like
can never
taking
be
over
a
developers.
pundit. There will always be room for pundits.
IBM already has their Watson lawyer, Ross.
Yeah.
You heard of Ross,
His
right?
name is
They named it
Ross.
Ross. I don't know why they named it Ross, but they have.
Is he married to Rachel?
Are they on a break?
Ross.
Like it's not a very lawyerly name, but they
No.
named it Ross. And it's the
Hey,
AI.
Leo, there aren't any pundits anymore.
Oh, no, don't tell me that. This is the last bastion of the pundit.
Hold on. I used to be a real pundit. I'm not a real pundit anymore.
Oh.
So, and who else? Esther Dyson? Do you see
I'm a
her?
pundit. We're pundits. Aren't we pundificating right now?
We're what's left.
We're what's
Sports
left.
Gone. I mean,
You're right.
they're
You're right.
just- pundit-
Stuart
pundit
can't even
is
buy
what-
a Tesla anymore. It's just sad.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be for being a pundit.
I'm getting all my talking points from Siri right now. So,
We had an interview yesterday on the new Screensavers with the robot, ROW bot. This is a farming robot. It isn't in mass production yet. But yeah, it's thin enough to go down the corn rows and do things like spread pesticide. Right now they're using it for fertilizer. And the other thing it can do that you don't normally do when you're growing corn, I learned a lot about corn yesterday, is before, when you want to, the problem is you once you harvest the corn, all this topsoil will blow away or wash away. So you have to put some sort of ground cover in. And the problem is it's too late after you've harvested the corn, then the rains come and you can't. So the robot will go in and will seed ground cover before you harvest the corn. It goes underneath it's a very cute little
that's pretty cool.
thing, yeah.
That's the worst fun, though.
What?
The row bot.
Corn row bot.
Get it?
That's
Row.
terrible.
Bot. It's
see it.
actually
Let me see
really, really cute.
That's a really big robot for going through corn rows. I mean, they're probably have to make it smaller, right?
No, that's the size. It's only a few feet wide. That's the key,
Okay.
right?
Maybe it's just the scales making it off for me in my brain.
No, it's not. It's not very big.
Because if you ever actually walk through a cornfield,
It's hard.
it's not like rows. There's not rows like you think. They're just like corn.
Right.
And you're
You
just
got to
like,
come
oh,
up
God.
next October. We have a corn maze here in Petaluma. It's quite famous.
Oh, a corn
Yeah.
maze.
Does
Corn maze.
every website now have to look just like that one?
Yeah, this is what is that look called? There's a look for this where it says scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, infinite
Well, and it's
scroll.
the white on whatever
Yeah.
with the box around it and the circular headshots.
Yeah.
Is this like what?
It's the look.
2016 cool or what
It's
is that?
the look. I don't.
2 years from now, it'll be something else.
Squarespace actually
People
has
love circles.
Squarespace has a template for this. Actually, believe it or not, they have new templates that because look, this is one of the reasons you don't. Maybe there'll always be a job for a web designer
There should always be a job for any designer because
there's fashions change.
you want your stuff to stick out. And if it all looks the same, you don't know.
Yeah.
Circle.
Circle. All right, we'll wade right into the controversy. Video posted on YouTube, 300,000 views, 15 million views on Facebook. It's from a group called SourceFed, asserting that the Google autocomplete suppresses negative searches about Hillary Clinton. If somebody types Hillary Clinton CRI, Google does not complete it with crimes, but crime reform, crisis, and others. This is Matt Lieberman. Now, Google immediately weighed in on this when Matt Cutts, even our good friend at Google, said that's ridiculous. We don't. If you do the same thing with Donald Trump cry, it won't get crimes because we intentionally don't surface autocomplete that kind of negative stuff. They got in a lot of trouble in the past for kind of suggesting negatives about people. Trump says it's a disgrace that Google would manipulate its searches. Very, very dishonest. They should let it float and let people see how crooked she really is. Matt Cutt said it's just false. And by the way, if you do Hillary CRI or Hillary you'll see Hillary indictment news.
The best part about the video, because what'd
you do? Look into it?
Things are happening. We check them out on Engadget, and you're watching the video, and as they're typing out Clinton or Hillary, the third autocomplete is email, which is
that's a crime.
That's
one of them.
And then the video kept showing that. I'm like,
yeah.
Like, yeah,
a lot of what you see in these kind of viral things is just stuff that confirms what you believe, right? And that's why they go viral. They don't go viral because it's shocking. They go viral because it's see, I told you, I'm going to share this with all my friends. I guess there isn't any. I don't know. Anybody want to go to bat for a SourceFed or? Apparently not. Okay.
You've got the wrong panel for that.
I got the wrong. I don't know. I thought David might, but maybe not.
I could if you wanted me to.
No. You're being way too agreeable. Stop it.
I'm happy to help the program. Whatever you need. You want to have a fight?
I don't want to have a fight.
Be angry. Outraged.
Well, I am angry and outraged.
He is. Actually,
yeah.
Hold
on. How could a man with a dog?
Oh my God.
Outraged.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
This is Scruffy. How could I be outraged with Scruffy?
Now, where did you come up with that name, Scruffy?
The people who found him roaming the streets of Stockton described him as looking scruffy. Guess what?
I think they're right.
Described as looking scruffy.
A little scruffy.
He was described as looking nefarious and well.
Can I send you a Harry's kit for Scruffy?
Oh,
just clean himself up.
He doesn't shave. Yeah, he doesn't shave.
He doesn't shave. All right. Would somebody defend for me Google Tango? Because it does not seem very compelling or interesting.
You can make 3D models of your friends and put them on the internet.
I watched the videos, and it was kind of depressing to me because it was, instead of looking at the stars, you could put your phone up, point them at the sky, and see it in your phone.
Well, we can't see the stars anymore. Then you see the...
That's true. 60% of America can't see
stars
because of pollution.
That's all we got. All we got is Tango now.
That's really depressing.
They'll have a thing with wild animals, so you can see wild animals that are 50, 60 miles away. Like, oh, there's a deer.
Instead of building a domino, what do they call that? A domino cascade thing. You just could use it, do it on your phone. Your phone will do it for you. You could just look at it. That's my table, but the phone superimposed the dominoes. Can somebody explain why this was in any way an exciting thing? It just does not get me. It's augmented reality.
They had nothing else.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Hey, can I have my own show that's called Technology Sucks? That's kind of what's going through everything we talk about today.
Well,
That's not very good. Apple's tired. Would you want one of those? Telephones whose names we can't pronounce. Billionaires who seem, a little different than the rest of us, more than their bank accounts. Phones you don't want. I mean, Apple hits the skids, I'm
a cheerleader for technology. I love technology, but at the same time, when it does suck, which it does more often than not, frankly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Apple will...
That's my premise.
At their event tomorrow, they will announce 10, 15 new features for, let's say, iOS. By the end of the year, when you're actually using it, you'll use maybe one of those, maybe two.
I think about
the other
3D touch, which I get sucked into the reality distortion field. I was very excited about 3D touch. The idea I know. In hindsight, I was an idiot. But you look, you press hard on this, and then it will show additional choices. It'll pop up a menu of possibilities. That's the first user interface improvement in iOS since folders. And the only one since folders, I think. But in hindsight, not that cool.
Oh.
It gets in the way for me. But see, I waited for a long time to buy my 6 and really got it when, I guess, the 5 that I had finally died. It was cracked on both sides, et cetera, couldn't be fixed. So I went out and bought a 6, which dutifully now has a cracked screen. Right.
Wow.
About here.
You should not be allowed to own a phone, my friend.
Well, I've broken lots of phones, and I'm a good friends with the guy who fixes my screens. He gives me a good deal. Has to pay cash, though. But
that's actually a
shady
story.
at all.
That's actually a story. The right to repair.
Yeah. Well, but I look at what they say for the iPhone 7, and I say, well, I have a 24-month AT&T replacement. I guess I'll take it when I can get it. Huh? You know, it's just like...
Well, you're not one of us. You're not one of those people who's got to get in line.
I still have the very first iPhone, and I have stood in line for hours to get iPhones. Oh, I am one of you.
Okay, you are one of us.
I just have grown up.
So there's a battle, and Apple is, by the way, leading this battle against the right to repair. You know what the right to repair is? And it comes up at first, I guess, the John Deere tractors that you're not allowed to fix because they've got DRM on the software in the tractor. They don't want anybody to steal it. But it also comes up in the independent repair shops, and Apple really doesn't want these iPhone independent repair shops. There's a bill in California being proposed, the Right to Repair Act, that would give independent phone repair shops the manuals and the information, the parts they need. Apple does not want to give it to them. Now, on the one hand, Apple says, well, you don't, but the problem is these guys are no good and they're going to do a terrible job and you really should use us. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I think, David, you have the right to bring that phone to a third party and get it fixed. It's a lot cheaper.
Obviously, although I then don't get a refurb phone as the replacement.
Right.
I get my phone with a screen, which is kind of nice. I don't have to go back and rebuild my phone. I mean, that's a good thing. But yeah, I ought to be able to get my phone repaired. But if you're Apple and you're control freaks and this is your cash cow in ways you can't even describe to people how much money they are paying you, of course they're going to want to do all the fixes. Of course they do.
The article.
It reminds me of the old phone company wars. Like there's that famous lawsuit when they went after.
Phone. Yeah.
Yeah, the privacy protection like cone that you added to the phone, and they actually sued them for making an attachment for the phone. The right to repair really reminds me of that old battle, which was thankfully eventually
won that one.
But they won.
Well, but
it was a similar argument, too. Ma Bell said, well, if we allow anybody to put any old equipment on our network, we can't guarantee the reliability of the network. And
but that was a battle for the heart and soul of universal service is what Carter phone was. I mean, that's what that was about. It wasn't about the can you do this? It's that you were renting all your equipment. Right. The economics of Ma Bell was set up in a certain way. We finally came to a point where all of the money that Ma Bell was making, some of which went to fund the National Geographic Society, by the way, suddenly there was this pause.
Well, now they've got Rupert. They don't need
Ma there was this
money.
Pause between the revenue that they were getting from business and universal service, installing lots of phones. And that's where the MCI decision came in. And that's what opened up competition, ultimately killed the Bell system. And I will tell you, I think we'd be better off today if we still had the Bell system. You know, where four guys could get around a table in a room and say, we're going to do fiber to the home. And it would just happen.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that world. I liked the Bell system.
I'm not sure I agree. I have some mixed feelings. If you are in Southern California and you got your Verizon Fios replaced by Frontier, which happened just a couple of weeks ago, people are furious. Frontier's done a terrible job of replacing Verizon. I guess you're saying, though, if we're AT&T, if we're all Ma Bell, we wouldn't have, are you kidding? We wouldn't have fiber?
We'd be on DSL with like...
Yeah, we would.
We'd be doing one megabit DSL. We wouldn't have fiber.
Why would they give us fiber? They wouldn't have to.
Of course. Hold on. No,
they didn't want us to have the internet. They wanted us to stay on the phone.
Yeah.
Hold on. The reason they would give it to you is their rate of return was entirely based on their investment. The more money they spent, the more money they made. I was there when they were experimenting with broadband fiber by transmitting uncompressed television up at Homedale at the now empty Bell Labs. Yeah, they made money by investing more and more and more money.
So the regulations were that if you spend more, you can make more? That's the...
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So they would have had every reason to bring us fiber, you know, to your bathroom, whatever.
Or cones of silence that you could put on your phone.
Well, again, whatever. But
I
the
don't think
point
you
of
get
it-
innovation from monopolies that are protected by government
Hold on.
regulations.
Hold on. They invented stereo. They invented. I mean, I can go through a list. It takes a moment for me to pull it up.
No, but you're right.
The
Bell
stuff-
Labs and AT&T, they invented Unix, for crying out loud.
They
and there
held
once
back
were some.
radio.
They held back.
What?
They held back radio.
Did they?
Yeah.
They didn't
have-
hold back
it
radio.
was-
There was the lines. There's
read,
the WAEF decisions and the chain broadcasting decisions back in the 20s and 30s.
Wow, I'm getting a history
But why
lesson
wouldn't
here.
AT&T at this point be better? Why? I mean, if they were broken up, why would they stop innovating?
It's not AT&T anymore. They got rid of Bell Labs. They got rid. I mean, all of this corporate innovation that used to take place in this country is mostly gone
It's
today.
a very interesting point of view. I hadn't really.
There's nothing to support it.
Yeah.
You know, I've spent a lot of time roaming Bell Labs. I watched the Japanese tourists marvel at Thompson and Ritchie's desk where they invented Unix. These Japanese people were taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
The desk, the empty desk.
Yeah.
Desk, two of them. But that was an amazing place that invented amazing technologies. And that's not happening here the way it used to because there is no return on investing in science just for the sake of science.
Wow, this is a great conversation. I would love to talk more about this, but I'm going to have to study up because I have no information at all with which to counter you. Kashmir, you sound like you know a little bit about this.
I mean, the whole argument of Tim Wu's The Master Switch
Right.
is about, monopolies using their power to hold back the development of other technologies, television, radio, phone and internet. And so if you're convinced by Tim Wu's book, then you would not agree with David because there were many examples in there of technologies that were suppressed because it would create, another market that would compete with their market.
He in fact says
RCA.
that we're at that stage now with the internet where the big companies, just as they did with long distance, are going to come along and say, "Thank you very much for developing that. We'll take it from here." And maybe you're seeing that with Comcast and Charter growing to such massive size. We certainly have duopolies and something like that.
RCA under David Sarnoff was a big suppressor of technology,
Right.
which could be a little bit of what Kashmir is thinking of because they got the FM radio band moved, meaning that all the FM radios that had been sold by
Stopped
Major
working.
Armstrong stopped working. Suddenly they were in the ham 6-meter band, of all things. So, and there were major fights like that. And then the FCC, which tends to do okay on little things, but messes up horribly on big things. There was an idea once to make your radio dial start at AM and channelize as you dialed up into FM. So it would look like one radio dial to you. No separate FM radios, no separate converters. Push buttons would go wherever you wanted to go. And that couldn't fly because it made FM too accessible and too competitive with AM, which was dominant at the time.
But, David, long-distance calls, for instance, pre-Carter phone, were extremely expensive. I remember calling people up and saying, "Hey, I'm on long distance. This has got to be quick." Now we essentially get unlimited calling within the United States for one flat rate. Isn't that an improvement?
I'm getting unlimited
Brought to us
calling
by
over the
competition?
internet.
I had an
Over the
$800
internet.
phone bill once.
Wow.
I was right out of high school and I had a girlfriend who lived 3 hours away.
Same thing for me. $1,500.
$800. My mom's
Yeah.
like, "I need $800 from you right now."
Yeah. But that's changed, right? Now you can call. That's not the internet. But I'm saying is competition seems to have helped in that case.
Well, you can change the incentives. What happened is we were no longer subsidizing building out this great network.
I
At
would
one
love to see
time-
another Bell Labs. I'll grant you that. I mean, the innovation out of Bell Labs was huge.
long
You don't
distance
consider
was
Google
expensive.
X the new Bell Labs?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, Google innovates for the sake of innovation for a lot. Cars. It's mostly for ad revenue, but they're still just make crazy ideas. Like I don't think anyone at Google knows how to say no, but we have cars. Getting into phones. That idea was insane. If you think about it, Google was a place where you went and you searched for yourself really most of the time.
So, David,
Google is not Bell Labs. There's nothing about Google that is Bell Labs. And if you'd ever driven
But
around
do you think
New
Bell Labs
Jersey-
would still be doing what they're doing today in this sort of corporate atmosphere? I don't think so.
No, that's why they're not doing it anymore. What I was going to say is the reason we had these huge long distance bills is because long distance was seen as a business service and it was expensive to provide at that time. If you say you don't have to subsidize anything and you can build networks and charge for long distance based on what it costs, you end up with MCI and cheap long distance, and the internet comes and wireline telephones go away. I don't think that's such a good idea either, but that's just me and national security thinking. So, I mean, I'm not sure that everything that we've done, yes, it gets cheaper. Yes, it gets cheaper. Yes, it gets cheaper. But what is the real cost of all of that cheaperness, if you like that word?
Cheaperness is good. Look, there's no solution that is perfect. You know, there's negatives and positives to both. You got the Bell on the one hand, you got Bell Labs with this giant monopoly. On the other hand, you have, frankly, an incumbent protecting their long distance tariffs because it's very profitable for them, and less incentive for them to bring those prices down. So I think that there's negatives on both sides. I would come down in favor of a free market over a subsidized or regulated monopoly almost every time, though. Wouldn't you, David?
We have what amounts to monopolies. I can get internet service here at my home office from one of two companies. And it's basically the same offering.
No, and it's not working so good.
Price.
It's a duopoly created by the FCC after being strong-armed by the cable companies, frankly, who said, well, we're not going to string cable unless you make it a monopoly.
If you're going to have a monopoly or a duopoly, you have to strongly regulate and make requirements that the companies do things.
Yeah, we kind of have the worst of both worlds, don't we? Because
yes, we
have
do.
An unwillingness to regulate it, but we've created it.
Yes.
Yeah. So back to the secret war. To keep you from repairing your iPhone, this is the Huffington Post. The company Apple has repeatedly opposed legislation that would allow people to go to third-party repair companies. And Apple, I think, has a rationale that makes a little bit of sense, which is, well, we can only guarantee the quality if we do it ourselves, and we don't want to repair, and we won't repair something that somebody else has repaired first. So if the minute you take it to a third party, we're done. Mm-hmm. But I am in support of people like iFixit, and I'm in support of the states, Minnesota, Nebraska, Massachusetts, and New York, who have considered adopting right to repair amendments, which would force companies to give out the information needed to fix stuff. Shouldn't Apple have, the same thing with the automobiles these days.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no shade tree mechanics anymore.
Yeah, if you buy a BMW is going to tell you, bring it to the BMW dealership. But you might have a mechanic that you've trusted, that you've worked with for years with your other cars. I take it to that person because the dealer's always going to be way more expensive.
Right.
And Apple's probably always going to be way more expensive than random person in the mall with a kiosk.
One of the reasons the state legislatures are arguing for the right to repair is also because of this issue of the throwaway disposable economy that companies like Apple create, forcing people to buy new computers, new phones, because they're not repairable. You can't just easily swap out the battery. If it dies, you got to throw it out or take it to Apple for a very expensive repair. Where do you stand? What do you think? Kashmir, right to repair?
I mean, it's hard not to be pro-consumer. It does seem like people should have an option to get their phone repaired wherever they want to have it repaired. So
it's one of the reasons I think Apple's really pushing this robot that recycles iPhones. And Liam, remember Liam?
Oh yeah, Liam.
They want to look like they're really pro recycling, because it does look like really they're pro waste, pro e-waste.
It's the march of technology. Everyone who makes any sort of product wants you to buy that product again and again, a little bit better.
And how else are we going to grow the market, right? Slightly better this time. Now we got
teeny tiny bit better. You can push it a little harder, and then the thing will pop down. Contextual menu will appear.
Let's see. God, now I'm depressed. It's like you kind of nailed it, David. All this stuff sucks.
Well,
This is why he doesn't have you on the show, David.
You're never coming back. This
bring
is
him down.
depressing. You bring me down. I want to be a cheerleader. How about the new Moto Z? It's exciting. It's got modular backs with magnets.
How about modular cell phones? Yeah.
Technology is incremental, and we put it under this lens, and we're looking at the very incremental change. And when technology is most inspiring is on a longer product cycle. It's very rare that we get the story like we got from Bloomberg about Larry Page trying to make flying cars.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I read that article and I go, yeah, sure, Larry. Flying cars.
You weren't even impressed by that?
No, because it's ridiculous. You don't want every Joe Schmo to be in the air flying around.
You know what a flying car is? It's called a helicopter, and we've had those for years.
Yeah, but they were really expensive, thank God.
Yeah,
because if everybody could afford one, imagine.
I barely deal with people who are driving on the road right now. I don't want them in the sky falling into my house.
Let's play Ask the Old Guys for just a second. I remember back when I started at InfoWorld, back before Kashmir was born probably, that every day was pretty exciting because big things were happening. Things that you'd never seen before, things that really made a difference in people's lives were happening. It doesn't happen that way today.
Sure it does. Autonomous vehicles I think autonomous vehicles are going to be a massive change.
Cars.
Yeah.
SpaceX, the idea that there could be commercial space travel, that's pretty cool.
Flying cars, not so much.
Autonomous cars, that's a huge deal.
Autonomous flying cars is the only way you could do it.
Yeah, well, there's little drones, but autonomous vehicles are going to be, when they finally hit the market, that's going to be just
I'm willing to bet
huge.
That's what Larry's...
Because there's so many people, especially with the people getting older like David, at some point, you're not going to be able to drive, but you're going to want to go to the store. You're going to want to go to...
I can't wait.
Check out Bell Labs again.
Let's
go look at that.
You can just get in the car and it takes you somewhere. My grandmother never had that. My mom might not even have that. No. But when I get older and I can't see and I shouldn't be behind the wheel, I'm going to be able to just get in the car and it takes me from point A to point B.
David, his head's about to explode.
But we talk about this and all this science stuff that previously no computer publication would have ever spoken about.
Because it was too blue sky.
We have nothing else interesting to talk about.
Right. How about this? Lenovo's going to do bendy phones.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
Come on. This is good stuff. Look at that. Mind blown. By the way, I think that's a piece of rubber they're using to demonstrate the concept.
How long have we seen the bendy screen?
Does anybody want this?
Is it 5, 6 years?
What is the market for this?
It's been a long time.
People who like to keep their phone in their back pocket.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to be able to sit on my phone. It's not so much bendy. I just want it to be soft and comfortable.
David, soon you'll be able to be in your autonomous car, wearing your Oculus Rift, and then playing around with your bendable phone, and then... You can just appreciate the world again.
Let's talk. I'm going to take a break and let's talk about VR. Because now, I was very excited. We got the Rift and we got the Vive, and I was all excited and I'm playing with it. And now I'm starting to think maybe this is like 3D TV. This is not a non-starter. Your opinions will come in a moment. Think about what you think about this. But first, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about audiobooks. Now, this is an innovation. But it's been around for a while. In fact, I joined Audible.com in the year 2000. And man, was I happy because I had a long commute to San Francisco every day. And the idea of sitting in a car for 2 hours listening to pop music on the radio I was about to blow my brains out. Then Apple invented the iPod and Audible came along and suddenly life is good. I've read more books on Audible. My library on Audible now is I have 300 or 400 books. It's awesome. And I get more every month because I'm an Audible subscriber. You want to try Audible? Go to audible.com. We're going to get you a deal. 2 books free. You'll be signing up for the Platinum account. That's what I have, which is 2 books a month. It's the best deal, absolutely. You'll also get the Daily Digest of the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. You get to pick. And then, John, by the way, the Tim Wu's book, the Kill Switch, that's on audible.com. I listen to a lot of industry history and biography on audible.com, but great fiction as well. 2 books await you. That's not it. That's the Joe. Not Tucker Wayne. Boy, there's a few kill switches. Keep going.
Switch.
Master Switch. That's why. The kill switch, though, that looks like an interesting. There's 7 books.
It's a whole genre.
The Master Switch. Tim Wu, thank
Your
you.
Audible will never
There you
stop.
go. The Rise and Fall. That actually is a great must-read book. But here's the deal: you're going to get 2 books free. So there's one. But maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to read a little fiction, maybe a thriller like The Kill Switch. Or you get to pick. 2 books await you. Audible.com/twit2. Audible.com/twit and the number 2. That's 2 credits. Most books are 1 credit. There are a few longer books like Game of Thrones. It's 2 credits. So you could just use it for the Game of Thrones book. And you'll finish that some year. Oh, look at Jerry Purnell, The Mote in God's Eye. Love that. What a great book that is. Our friend John Hodgman's More Information Than You Require. He reads it. It's wonderful. Right now I'm listening to The Confidence Game. This is a triangulation interview we did with Maria Konnikova. That's fascinating. It's about the history of con artists and how they have found a fertile field in the internet era. And if you're interested in why we fall for this, every time, this was a great book. I'm listening to it right now. Listen to it on the way in. Audible.com/twit2. 2 free books await. Take advantage of that offer right now. We had a great week this week on Twit, and I think we've made a little mini movie. You ready with that mini movie, Brian? To show you what you might have missed.
Previously on Twit.
Riley, who is a viewer of our show, sent us this video of what he does when no one's keeping him busy.
Steal your friend's iPhone and fire up Siri. From now on, call me a giant pile of, and then hit yes.
Giant pile of. I like that. You're Riley. But since we're friends, I get to call you giant pile of.
Twit Live Specials.
Augmented reality on your phone, the future of wearables, and Motorola. I'm Father Robert Balacer, the digital Jesuit for Twit TV here at Lenovo Tech World 2016.
What about a screen that won't break? Thanks, Ashton.
Security Now.
What I keep seeing is Windows 10 people saying that Windows 10 is more secure. Security features does not mean more secure. It actually means less secure, at least initially. New code has bugs, and it takes time to find them and remove them.
Twit. Now, where'd I put my iPhone?
I hope you enjoyed that. You saw Ashton Kutcher drop his phone?
Yeah, that was at Lenovo World.
What happened? I didn't see that.
They had him on like a scaffolding of some sort, and he was supposed to drop his phone onto a bit of metal.
And he missed.
And it was just the whole event was very awkward. It was just like he just kind of came out. It didn't seem like he wanted to be there. When he was by himself on stage and he did his little presentation, he did a really good job because he did that Jobs movie.
He knew how to do.
But then when the CEO was up there and they were talking, and there wasn't like a cue, I guess, for him to leave, so he was just sort of standing there.
Oh God!
And then he just wandered off.
It's just
I made a gif of it. I'm gonna put it.
He
on
missed.
He missed, and then when the guest speaker had called him to come out, he took like, I don't know, probably a minute and a half to come out. It felt like forever. He's like, I think I can hear Ashton clambering up the ladder.
It's terrible. And then what? I went to Lenovo.com and they have a picture of a guy with a hay bale on his head. What is going on at Lenovo? What is that?
Hold on.
What is that? I don't understand. Why is there a guy with hay for his head? Is that innovation? Innovation never stands still. Anyway, if you want to watch the video of Ashton Kutcher and the phone, the keynote's there, but we also have our own coverage of it. I do want to talk about the Moto X or Moto Z.
I retweeted my GIF that I made of
Ashton
of Ashton just being awkward and walking off stage.
You should work at BuzzFeed. That's good. That's good stuff.
Making GIFs.
Great week ahead. I'm sure it's a great week ahead. We got WWDC and E3. Jason Howell, TNT. What's coming up?
Thanks, Leo. Here's a look at a few things we're going to be following closely in the week ahead. First off, as you probably know, Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference kicks off tomorrow. And, well, you're going to be on set along with Megan and Andy Anatko to cover the keynote live, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Pretty sure there will be plenty to discuss throughout next week from that event. Also, the E3 Gaming Expo begins on Tuesday, June 14th, lasting through the rest of the week. Possible new hardware from Microsoft. Maybe even Sony, although they say don't expect the Neo. But regardless, plenty to discuss next week. And we'll have a team there doing on-site coverage as well. So look for that. June 14th is the VR unveiling of the OnePlus 3. Leaks reveal, I think, a sharp-looking device. This will be the first time a OnePlus phone won't require an invite in order to buy, so you better get your wallets ready. The Bluetooth 5 spec is actually set to be announced on Thursday, June 16th. It should bring double the range and 4 times the speed of Bluetooth 4.2. So Bluetooth fans, there you go. And I'm sure we'll dig up plenty more other things to talk about. We usually do. Find Megan Maroney and myself talking tech every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 12 a.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. That's a look at the busy week ahead. Back to you, Leo.
Nice. Very nice. Thank you, Jason Howell. Here's Roberto's... we got to get to the beginning of it. Hold on a second. So this is Ashton Kutcher. That's all right. Ashton Kutcher awkwardly leaving the stage. I guess I'm done. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, my gosh. If you want to see it yourself, if you're listening, STRNGWYS is Strange Ways without the vowels is Roberto's. By the way, I just see here right below it, one of your band is playing in a Prince tribute show on July 8th.
We are, July 8th.
What do you mean one of your bands? How many bands do you have?
I'm like 3.
What?
Well, I have a regular band.
Yeah. What do you do? Are you the lead singer? Yeah, I thought so. You kind of look like you'd be.
This is the regular band.
The regular band.
Will he sing something for us?
Oh, I guess.
I've never heard him sing. I would like to.
No, that's awkward.
Come on, sing something.
That's the regular band, and then I keep creating these like super bands with all these
super bands
with all these members of other bands in the Bay Area.
Other world famous rock and
other
rollers.
World famous like in San Francisco.
Cool.
San Francisco famous.
What's the name of your big band?
The regular band is North American Scum.
North American Scum.
The band we're doing the Prince tribute is called Controversy.
Nice. I had no idea.
Yeah.
How do you find time to do that?
I don't. It's no, once a week, and you
just go and you play.
I don't play video games. I don't have a lot of other.
Yeah, I asked Kevin Kelly the same thing. He said I don't watch TV, and I thought that's just not a price I'm willing to pay.
No, I watch TV.
Oh, okay.
Because TV, you just sit there.
Yeah,
my wife and I can watch it, and if it's good, we can pay attention. If it's not, we can tweet.
We can tweet.
Send funny pictures.
Thank God for the Twitter. What would you do with bad TV shows?
Look at this funny thing I found.
Now I've forgotten what we were going to talk about. This is that's Roberto Baldwin from Engadget. Also with us, Kashmir Hill from Fusion, and she's at Kash Hill, Kash Hill on the Twitter, and my old buddy David Coursey, who is at Tech Inciter on the Twitter.
If only I ever used that account.
Do you never? You said you also were ready. You were going to get a tech blog all set up, and you just didn't get around to it.
Yeah, we're going to get that going. I was going to do it to do something about this show, but I.
Well, can we
tell? Going to talk about.
People will watch this show months from now.
Yeah.
So what would and so when they do, they can go there because it'll be done by then, I hope.
Yes.
Where would they go?
I'll probably put it at Coursey.com. That's not what's there now, but that's probably where I'll put it.
Coursey.
One of the first 100,000 sites on the internet.
Really?
I am reminded.
When did you register that?
I'd have to look, but I'm also one of the first 10,000 on LinkedIn, and I had Coursey on MSN on Hotmail for a long time. If you were there kind of at the beginning, you could get Coursey.com. How did I get that? I was first in line.
I used to have that sticker that said top 5% of the internet. Who was that? It was one of the like Excite or somebody awarded. I used to have that on my site.
Oh yeah.
Engadget has leaked pictures of a new Xbox that we expect to see announced at E3 this week. When is Microsoft's press conference? Is it tonight or is it tomorrow?
It's tomorrow morning.
Usually they do it before the show begins.
I believe it's halfway through Apple's press event. So Apple's event will start, and then halfway through, and then Microsoft's event will start because it's...
Well, we'll be covering both, I guess. The rumor is it's about a quarter or half the size? Let's see. It's a lot smaller. It has 4K capability. You can stand it on its side now.
Yeah, that didn't work out because no one had everyone's like home entertainment system is it's horizontal.
It's going in a rack.
Vertical.
Yeah.
If it's on side, my cat's just going to knock it over.
Neo Gaff members have posted images of what they're calling the Xbox One S. It's white, 40% smaller. It's 40% small. Yeah, 40% smaller. 4K video, which is a big deal. They didn't have very high-quality video on the original Xbox One. And a 2 terabyte hard drive. And...
Power brick's internal.
The power brick, which is normally massive on an Xbox One.
It's like this big. It's like the size of a...
It's huge.
Like a Fiat.
It's a
like
lunchbox.
Fiat 500.
It's a Fiat 500 size.
It's just like 2 wires sticking out and you plug
Now
it
it just goes in there. How does that... Have we made massive improvements
and we were
in
talking,
technology?
you know what? We were talking about how there's nothing awesome in technology.
You see? It's huge here.
And according to random people on the internet, we've been able to put a power brick inside of an Xbox.
I mean, the power brick was almost bigger than the Xbox that they're coming out with. This is nice. Good looking. Okay. Who cares? I'm sorry, didn't mean to make you laugh right in the middle of your diet Snapple. Is that the best stuff on earth? Just curious.
Sure.
Okay.
If your bar is like super low, it's really the best stuff on earth.
Sort of
delicious.
Sort of the best stuff on it. PlayStation 4.5 also rumored to be coming out. I don't know if Sony will announce anything at E3. Although I'm excited about the PlayStation VR. Got to play with that a little bit. And of the 3, big players, that probably is going to be the biggest, only because there's so many, something like 40 million installed units of PlayStation 4s that can use this VR without a much higher cost. You don't have to go out and buy a whole new PC, for example.
A beefy PC.
Yeah. We built a $5,000 PC to use the Oculus Rift and the Vive. And it's fun, but I have to admit, and actually, Brian, you tell me, Brian, our technical director today, are people going back there and playing that a lot? I mean, after I leave, are people like spending a lot of time playing on the VR?
Some people more than others. I think a lot of people...
Your brother loves the brush, what is it, Tilt Brush?
Tilt Brush by Google, I
It's
believe.
a painting program.
Yeah, him and Anthony have done some really cool stuff.
They're both artists.
They are both artists and like pretty talented. But
how about the games? Are people like gravitating? You showed me that one game where you get on the platform and you're shooting at the bad guys. That was fun.
Yeah,
with the Vive.
I think Burke really likes that one, but
that's not a high recommendation. What are you?
Tilt Brush was cool. I want to play some games.
Okay, okay. Really cool. Tilt Brush is cool. Yeah. But again, let me ask the question: are people spending hours in there using that stuff? No.
No.
I think VR is one of those things. It's kind of gimmicky. You play it for a little while, you go, that's really neat, and then you don't. It's not like you say, oh, I've got to do more of that. It's kind of like enough.
And I don't think the games library is really all there either.
Very, very weak.
Yeah.
How about putting in an old-fashioned pinball machine?
Wait,
see
no.
if people don't hang around?
We had one of those, and we had we had one, and nobody played it.
Oh, I would have played it every day. I'd be here way more often.
You say that, but I think you wouldn't.
Yes, Trevor.
I'd like you more, Leo.
Well, it's too late. We gave it away.
Oh.
Some guy was here, and I said, you want it? He said, yes. He said,
really?
Bring a truck. Yeah.
Damn it.
Do you know what used pinball machines are selling for?
Don't tell me. Oh, no.
You don't want to know.
This was Jerry Ellsworth, who's a big pinball fanatic, made this and gave it to us. And we just have nowhere to put it in the new studio. Oh. Really? They're worth a lot of money, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can go to Alameda. They have the pinball museum there.
Yeah.
I really am never coming back on this show. I can tell. I can already sense that.
What if you could be the ball in a VR? And you're bouncing around, you're zooming, wouldn't that be cool? And then
you're getting nauseous. You're throwing up.
Be the ball, and then God does the flippers. It's like life, right? You don't do the flippers. You're the ball. It's a whole new way of looking at pinball.
Well, I mean, what do you want to see in VR? Because I can't figure out anything in VR that's got me, that excites me.
The examples people give is, and even Samsung gives, is your friends are all in Paris. Yeah. You're stuck at home, and they put on you put on your VR helmet. They put up their camera and they go, "Roberto, we're all in Paris together." No.
I've heard people who really like the VR porn.
I've heard that too.
It wasn't for me.
I don't know.
Can't do that at the studio.
Maybe that's why nobody's using it.
Here's the pinball machine, though.
That's not the one, is it?
No, it's the same.
Oh, it is the same.
Wow.
I mean, this isn't the one that
Roadkill.
Jerry built, but
No, but it's the same game.
yeah.
That's a nice
$3,000.
pinball machines. Yeah,
Damn.
a nice pinball machine.
It was
Look at that.
it was an old one. It was classic. It wasn't one of the big neon.
Oh, those are really
Well,
better.
classic
that
ones
way.
are worth more.
Yeah.
Classic ones are being
Yeah.
rebuilt. NPR did a feature. It must be true.
Yeah. If NP,
Waste money.
I want David on every show.
It must be true.
Now, how does she know about VR porn? I've been looking and I couldn't find it.
Oh, it's easy.
Really? On the internet?
Okay. We'll talk after the show then.
Okay, I'll tell you about it because I happen to have
Thanks,
tried
Dad.
it. Because I am a father and I need to know about these things.
Also, it's your
So,
job.
It's my job.
As a journalist, you have to explore the
Again,
nether regions of.
when I first experienced, I thought this is revolutionary. This is going to change the world. Porn will never be the same. And then since then, haven't really.
Well, the one I tried is, the local San Francisco porn studio, kink.com.
Yeah.
So they, were one of the first studios to jump on VR. So I was watching this VR porn that was, they're basically BDSM, and
Right.
so this is one of the
kink.com. It gives you some idea. Yeah.
This is one of the porn videos where the person enjoys being insulted. So I had.
So do you get to be the
people-
person being insulted?
Yeah. So two people in front of me that were making out, and the woman was telling me I had like a very small penis, basically. So it wasn't really my usual cup of tea.
Well, where else could you experience that?
But they say there are very devoted fans who really like this stuff.
So it gives me new respect for performers because you do get a lot of these are shot in, as yours was, first person, where you're the performer in it, right? And then the stuff is being done around you and to you, and so it gives you new respect for the performer and what they have to put up with.
I actually watched them film one of their videos, and it's a lot. It's more work for them in a way because
it's work.
Yeah. They have the cameras all over the place. They're trying to get the lights exactly right.
I wouldn't want to do it.
And they have to think for the performers, they're going to be having all the angles. So I think it's a little bit more nerve-wracking
Takes
for
all
them.
the fun.
Were they
out
wearing
of it.
like a helmet of some sort, or they just had like
No, they just have a
cameras on
camera.
them?
They probably just have a camera on their head, right?
Camera's not on their body, no. They can,
okay.
Well, this one was kind of like seen from afar.
Okay.
No, but if you were doing it with the current crop of cameras, you'd have giant,
like a halo
around you, so that it could. Although one thing I did notice, the ones I've looked at weren't 360 degrees. They were kind of constrained angles.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing, is I found myself like kind of, okay, they're fooling around in front of me, but I'm more like, let's look at the decor. Oh, look. Oh, that's it.
It's like they've said about porn for years. For the first 5 minutes, you don't think you can get enough. And after minute number 6, you don't care if you ever see it again.
That's VR in a nutshell. That's VR in a nutshell. That's exactly it.
Leo's shopping in VR porn. He's like, look at this. Can you get this?
No, I am.
IKEA?
No. It's like, oh, let me see what books they have on the. I'm trying to read the titles on the bookshelf.
Zooming in.
Yeah.
It's more voyeur.
Because you can kind of look, but that's the thing, is you can kind of. So what is interesting about immersive video, 360-degree video and VR, is you choose what you're going to look at. So it is kind of interesting that way. There's a Cirque du Soleil demo that comes on the Gear VR, the Samsung Gear VR, where there are performers all around you, and you can. And
That's
so
frightening.
it's a little weird, but it's kind of interesting because you could watch that trick or this, and so what's unusual is you are controlling the point of view. Which makes it difficult from an artistic point of view as an artist, because normally what an artist does is tell you what to look at. That's kind of the art of film and that's gone because you could be shagging right in front of somebody and he's looking at your bookshelf.
Yeah, but you can also be on your training bike riding the Tour de France.
That might be better.
Tour de France, much more realistically than you can with the current simulators. When you started talking about you're there, you're looking around, you're seeing the wonderful sunflowers by the side of the road and all of that. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that there are some experiences that you might want to have and guide yourself through.
I like that.
Well, Air and Space Smithsonian. If you can't be there, you ought to see it.
Better for experiences than storytelling. I think that
would be my point.
Yes.
Go see Mount Vernon. It's hard to get to. Now for $10, you could get a VR tour of Mount Vernon, and you could use it for a whole year. Bring your kids. Vacation at places that you're really going to see something.
Yeah.
It's not like I need to experience the great white shark 30 feet out in the water at Santa Cruz. It's I want to be in a museum. I want to be, at your house looking at all the technology, old stuff that you have on your shelves like I have on my shelves. That would be interesting. But this, I want to play a game in VR. I don't want to play a game in VR. I want to have a conversation with you in VR. This is all I need.
We don't even use phones. We just text each other. Why would I want
I know that's... everybody thought as soon as you have
thing on my face, weighs like this much, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Oh man, my face is so sweaty. Now I have zits. Now we're all gonna have
rings of zits around our forehead.
Oh, I know what he's been doing. He's
spent a lot of time in VR porn.
Poor teenagers. We already had problems with.
Kashmir will not have rings of zits. I am going to stand up for the other remote guest today. She will not have rings of zits. She has great teeth, a nice smile that I envy. I don't have a good toothy grin. She will not get zits. You and I will get zits.
Oh yeah.
She will not get zits.
I'm getting zits just sitting here. I did this, and I'm going to have like 5 zits on my forehead.
Basically, it's Beauty and Three Beasts is what you're saying this show is.
I wouldn't go that.
That's our new band. You want to create a
Media
band?
and Three Beasts?
Media and the Three Beasts.
That's pretty much every band.
Yeah. Sad to say, that's really the story of bands, isn't it? There's the person in front and the rest of them. Okay, so the super flexible phone you wear like a watch, non-starter. Maybe there's some value in VR if we get the right content. That's one of the reasons it's hard to judge this stuff is
It's so early.
It's early.
Yeah. I mean, they finally have the technology to make it. Now you need somebody to actually make an experience that is more than just running around and shooting people or shooting aliens or whatever. Or, we've gotten a lot of like, oh, let's do an interview with somebody, but in 360. I'm like, why? That person's sitting right there. You're interviewing him. I don't need to see, the people behind him. We're just throwing things at a wall and hoping something sticks. And hopefully someone will come up with something cool. But for now, I mean, I'm not really a gamer, so it's not my jam.
I like to play games, but sometimes it's too immersive. You're really in there, and it makes you queasy. I'll be honest with you. It's hard not to get queasy on these things. Now, stop it. Now, I look like Yul Gibbons playing a video game in this thing. This is just the worst. This is me in the PlayStation VR, and I wore suspenders so I wouldn't look like I was hit or with it.
Did you do this at any point?
I do. I think I do.
You have to do that.
Have you thought what you need is a VR set to be in front of? Like all these local news teams around America.
Yeah, we figured that
who are
out.
Sitting in front of a green screen. You could have the coolest set and it could change every week.
So one of the challenges with VR is how do you show it? And so what we do have is in the other room, we have a giant green screen stage. And that's where we set up the VR. And then you see the person, and everybody looks dorky when they're doing VR. You just cannot help it. But at least behind them, at a full size, you see the environment that they're in. And actually is I think that's the way to demo VR. We figured that much out anyway.
As opposed to just...
Yeah. There you go. So now, this is actually Kate Patello, my old Screensavers friend. And then she's in that's the tilt brush game, the painting game. And then
that must be thrilling to do. I can hardly just contain myself. Me and the dog here watching this.
It's kind of...
By the way, I want a screen grab of me and the dog just so that I put in my
just to prove that you were on this show.
I'm going to use it on Facebook as my profile.
Leah once had you on a show.
Yes.
Yes. And then I can, 20 years from now, say, see, you really were on a show, even though you don't remember it. And Scruffy, too.
Yeah. And then for some reason, you stopped answering our calls. I mean, yeah, okay.
So somebody in the chat room while I was doing the radio show gave me the website, Have I Been Pwned? You know that there have been some massive lately leaks of databases. You put in your email address. It's been around for a while. We've used it before to see if your email showed up in any of these pwned databases.
Oh, you're totally pwned.
Oh, I've been totally pwned. The breaches I was pwned
just say
in,
everyone's pwned and still be correct. I mean, they don't really have to do anything.
all this means is that your email address showed up, maybe not even your accurate password or credit card. They don't tell you that. Just that your email address, in my case, for Adobe, LinkedIn, MySpace, and Tumblr. But this is the numbers that blew my mind. The top 10 breaches, MySpace breach, 359 million MySpace accounts.
I still have an account.
That was the thing that I did. As I logged in, I said, "Oh, I still have an account."
You logged in with your password, and then you're like, "Oh,
I
no."
changed the password immediately. LinkedIn, 164 million accounts. Adobe, 152 million. The size of these database dumps are. I mean, Ashley Madison was only a mere 30 million accounts.
Well, I mean, that's the problem with sites like MySpace, where we signed up for something, 5-10 years ago, and maybe it's changed hands a few times, and the people who own it now, maybe their security is lax.
They're not paying any attention.
And you keep using that same password.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I've been using this password for 10 years because it's the name of my dog and the street I lived on and, my favorite football team. And then suddenly now your current Twitter account is hacked. Or worse, your email account's hacked. All
One
because
of
of
the problems with technology generally and also with capitalism is you can't move backwards. Once television killed radio in the United States, it wasn't allowed to do that in the UK. We couldn't ever go back and have good radio again. With this technology in the internet, if we had to invent the internet today, it would look nothing like when it was invented with no idea of what it would become. No idea, no security, no this, no that. So we're constantly playing catch up, and we don't have the ability to say stop. Beginning tomorrow, there is a new internet that is new and it is secure and it is whatever. We could build that internet, but there is no way to do the transition to it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Do you want to be my MySpace friend, Roberto?
All right.
I can't believe you guys still have MySpace accounts.
You want to know who else?
You want to be my top 8?
You know who else? That's Tom. He's my MySpace friend.
Oh.
What disturbed me most in this most recent round of passwords that got hacked, the LinkedIn 2013 hack that just seems to be kind of like coming out now, and then the Twitter hack, is the people that weren't using two-factor. Like, this is the new security solution we've come up with, right? Because we know that passwords are not secure. They get out all the time. So you have the second factor that you send to your phone, and that becomes more secure. But in this most recent hack, DeRay McKesson, the Black Lives Matter activist, was hacked, and he actually had two-factor turned on for Twitter and his email account, and the hackers went to Verizon and got them to change his SIM card so that the two-factor messages that were coming from Twitter, for example, went to their phone instead of his. And it was just such a deep hack, and it's so hard to protect yourself against that, especially because social engineering always works. You can call the phone company, and you can get them to believe anything, especially if you have the sound of a, crying baby playing from a YouTube video. So that's what's terrifying to me, is that you can take all the measures and then still get hacked.
So DeRay tweeted at 10:31, someone called Verizon impersonating me and successfully changed my SIM, unsuccessfully attempted to change my phone number. What they're trying to do, of course, is get that second factor authentication sent to their phones instead of his phones. I'm not clear, though. Verizon says we're investigating. But they say by changing my phone SIM, the hacker bypassed two-factor verification, which I have on all accounts. I'm not sure I buy that, because if they weren't able to get his phone number for their phone, how would changing his SIM change two-factor? Would it disable it?
If they have that SIM, they can just put that SIM in a phone, and suddenly every text message that he gets goes to that.
They have to get his physical SIM, though, to do that, or convince Verizon to say, oh, this is my new number, or this is my new phone.
It's your new SIM. You just change the code of your SIM and tell them that this SIM is now my phone.
Actually, that's easy to do. I've done that. When you get a new phone, that's what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And you get a new SIM burner, and there it goes.
Yeah, you don't even need that. You can order a SIM from Verizon. When it comes, you call them up and say, hey, I got my new phone. Okay, this is the new SIM ID. Please make this the phone. Oh, jeez.
I saw a talk with Kevin Mitnick about a year ago, and he has that pen. Well, he has a company. I'm start using InfoSec. He has a company that goes in and checks the security of other companies.
Yeah.
And someone asked him like, how often can you break into it? He's like, well, if we're not allowed to use social engineering, like I think it was like 60-70%.
Yeah.
He's like, if we are, 100%.
Yeah. Kevin wrote the book on social engineering. Yeah.
So yeah, if it's 100%, and then that's how Matt Honan was hacked. That's how I learned how to hack my own accounts because Matt was hacked, and we had to do all the research about it, and we would just call and like pretend, whatever we could find on the internet about ourselves, we would tell them, and then we could.
That's
change.
all you need.
Yeah.
Kashmir, wasn't that your colleague? Was it Alexis? Who was your colleague that hired two firms to hack him?
Oh yeah, that was Kevin Roos.
Kevin Roos, that's right.
He invited two hackers to go at him with everything they could.
That was crazy talk. But one of the firms was a social engineering firm specifically. One of them was a more traditional hacking firm. Both of them pwned him.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy. I mean, the same thing happened to him where they called his phone provider. That's why actually whenever I screenshot my phone, I try to crop out who my provider is. And I tell other people to do this because, once they have that information, then they can call and try to impersonate you. And usually the only kind of information they need to get in are the last
your carrier?
of your social security number, which is easy
how
to
do
get.
they get that? How do they get the last four? Because once you have the last four, everything.
You can pay $5 to get anyone's social security number online.
What?
Have you never you've never done a LexisNexis search of somebody?
LexisNexis? I thought that was a law database.
Yeah, there are many places through which social security numbers run.
Wait a minute, you could do a LexisNexis search on Leo Laporte and you would get my social?
Your social's probably somewhere already.
A portion of it,
Do you have your LexisNexis there right now?
You want me to look? You don't want me to look up your social security number and then?
Why not? What could possibly go wrong?
I think technically that is a misuse of the database.
But I'm inviting. Oh, okay.
But yeah,
I'm inviting you to do so.
There are various ways that it is very easy to look up people's social security numbers.
And it doesn't need to be the whole number. That's the point. That all the phone company ever asks you for is the last four of your social.
That's not yours.
Are you looking me up?
No,
I don't think you can Google my social security. That would
I'm
be
finding
terrible.
other people named Leo Laporte who has their social number. But you can find, there's sites that are dedicated.
I thought
I've
LexisNexis was
seen
only
Hulk Hogan's and
searches.
Justin Bieber's social security numbers.
You can do person searches.
You can
on
do person
LexisNexis.
searches? Okay.
It's how it's usually how news organizations get somebody's phone number because they have person records. But yeah, so the social engineer, called his provider and she played a YouTube video
of a baby crying. Oh my God, it was so funny. And it worked. She said,
totally worked.
My husband's out of town and I desperately need to get into his phone for some reason.
Kevin's not even married, so.
But the point is that
very easy.
Customer service rep, their job is customer service. The problem is that authentication techniques are so poor, they want to serve the customer. So all you have to do is somehow assert that you're the customer and they'll serve you.
Birthdays.
You want to make customers happy. Your mother's
That's their
maiden name,
yeah,
which you can basically find through going to Facebook and seeing which women post the most.
Everybody
on this person's
knows
page.
my mother's maiden name is McGillicuddy, and the last four of my social are 4792.
And some people know that.
What are you doing?
No. Just I know what I'm doing here. Just let that be. That's now public record. That's going to go up on LexisNexis. It's called disinformation, Kashmir.
Good.
See what I'm saying? You should put out as many lies as you can, everybody, all the time.
My Facebook birthday is completely incorrect.
Create the noise. You're one of those
I've changed it like 4 or 5. No, the actual date. Yeah. I've changed it 4 or 5 times. I won't wish anybody happy birthday on Facebook or Twitter. I think everyone thinks I'm a jerk.
Excuse. No, because I hate doing that.
Oh,
but that's a good excuse. I'm going to say, no, I'm protecting your security.
I'm protecting your security.
Oh, God, thank you.
I don't wish anybody a happy birthday. I
would wish you a happy birthday.
The cropping off your carrier thing, that's smart. I'm going to start doing that.
That's good.
You're my new hero.
Yeah, actually, Kashmir, this is your beat. So you probably you feel like you've gotten better. Because, by the way, the other problem with this being your beat is now you're a target.
Yeah. I try to be better, but like I said, you can't. Security is all about putting up higher walls.
Right.
But there's
Nothing's
no
perfect.
way to perfectly protect yourself.
As Kevin said in his article, he talked to a ninja master of security who said, look, if you're walking down the street and ninjas jump you, you can't fight them off. But what are the chances of ninjas jumping you? They're very small. So you don't walk down the street worried at every moment that somebody's going to jump you, some martial artist is going to kill you, because you're not a target. He said, you can be, anybody can hack you if you're a target. Just don't be a target. But that, if you're a target, like, I hate to say it, some of us might be because of our jobs, then what do? You
just make it harder.
What is J-Law?
You make it as hard as you can.
What is J-Law do?
Since I've actually started writing about security, my Google account, there's someone trying to hack it at least once a month. I've had days where it's like, it just keeps I just keep it like this person from this country, this person from this country, this person from this country is trying to get into because they're trying to get the email. If you can get that email, you have access to everything.
What if you're a movie star? What do?
You pay somebody.
And are they good? And do you get Kevin Mitnick to look out for you?
Doesn't seem like they're very good, especially for J-Law, whose nude photos got leaked all over the internet.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. There's a phishing scheme. Someone tried to phish me this morning for my Twitter account.
I almost fell for. I actually did fall for it. I had to change the address. It was a very good one because my son had lost his phone.
Wait, where is it? I'll even show
And
you.
I got a text message saying we found your iPhone, this is Apple. We believe we know where your phone is. Log in to find my iPhone. And I did, and it looked just like Find My iPhone. And I started to log in. I went, whoa, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. And I told my son, you're going to get this too. And because he had just lost his phone, it was very credible. We noticed a recent login attempt from an unusual device.
This is a phishing email.
If this wasn't you, secure your account by resetting your password now. Hi, Roberto Baldwin. It's got the little Twitter bird. If this was you, I like this one. This is the giveaway. Just to be safe, please confirm your identity by using this temporary code on Twitter.
And it's
just to be safe.
Password at Twitter. Did he spell Twitter correctly?
It doesn't matter.
Password at Twitter.com.
You can spoof any email address. That's trivial.
But I'm like, well, yeah, and I know better. If anyone in my family gets this, they're like, oh,
that's what happened to Kevin. He knew he was about to be hacked, and he still fell for it. They got a phishing scam on him, and even though he knew that I have now hired professionals to hack me, he still fell for it.
Do you think Kevin was a little bit gullible as that story went along? But yeah, we talked about it. I was like, I would never do this. I just would not invite hackers come at me. And I think he has remained paranoid since then because one of the hackers got into his computer.
They did that thing that your brother had happen to him. He said, Kevin, you look bored.
They made the computer talk to him. They were, I definitely have one of these like little stickers that I put over.
I have the sticker on my
laptop because they got into his computer and it was taking photos of him and taking photos of his screen like every 5 minutes.
Every once in a while, I just stand up and shake my moneymaker at my camera, and I figured that is sufficient.
Is that a deterrent?
That's a deterrent.
Never mind. Delete.
Sorry, I saw that. Oh God. They're using something called a remote access Trojan, and this is something the local news love these because they can really scare them and film at 11.
Do you know your computer?
Your computer's watching
window to other people. Yeah,
but is it real? It is real.
It's definitely real. And there's cases too where, this has happened to school kids who are using school-owned computers where they have security programs on them that are essentially spyware. And then they'll take photos of the kids and then the parents find out and they sue the school. There's a whole rent-to-own scandal with laptops where the same thing was happening and the FTC went after the company.
Oh, yeah,
They've taken photos of people, having sex, getting out of the shower. You do not want your laptop camera uncovered. It should always be covered.
Or
unless you're doing Skype and I know my camera's on right now.
Or you don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of a hack. So what?
You're okay with J-Law photos of you out on the internet?
Yeah, believe me, nobody wants those. But I would be more concerned about them hacking my bank account than I am about getting pictures of me coming out of the shower. Come on, nobody wants a picture of me coming out of the shower. Who did that? All right. Anyway,
if they get a rat on your computer, they're definitely going to be able to get into your bank
There's
account.
a lot more they could do, obviously. Yeah. The Twitter folks say that our password leak has nothing to do with a breach of Twitter. It was a lot of people using the same password on Twitter that they used on other sites. That probably had more to do with the LinkedIn database dump. Do you find that credible? Do you think Twitter is notifying users? In fact, they say we've notified millions of users that that your account may be taken over. The leak at Social Leak was 33 million usernames and passwords. But Twitter says, no, but they didn't hack us. There's no evidence that they hacked us. Not Social Leak. I made that up. Leaked source. I made up a new place. Social Leak.
Someone get that URL.
Yeah, Twitter claims that that their servers weren't hacked, that either it was malware that was put on a whole bunch of people's computers.
Come on.
And also, I mean, a lot of people do reuse the same password, which is a horrible practice. People have been hearing that for years, and yet they continue to do it. I will once again just say use a password manager.
Yeah.
It's always good to promote those. You really shouldn't use the same password from site to site because sites aren't, they're not good at security, and your password's going to get out.
Roger Goodell's account was hacked and used to announce his death. That's mean.
Oh, that was the NFL.
Yeah, the NFL commission.
Yeah, two-factor. Why is the giant corporation not using two-factor?
Even Evan Williams, the founder of Twitter, was hacked. Come on, Ev.
On Twitter.
You're a target. If you're a CEO,
yeah, that's the problem.
Even
right?
if you're a journalist, you should have, you
can't have walls high
be
enough.
a bit more careful. But especially if you're a CEO or any sort of government employee,
TeamViewer.
Get it together. That's all.
Somebody in the chat room's pointing out the TeamViewer, which is remote access software, had such poor security. People were using TeamViewer to hack other people with TeamViewer.
I hate TeamViewer. I delete that thing every chance I get. We gotta do a team. I'm like, oh gee.
I don't want to do a TeamViewer.
Everything that Kashmir said. Kashmir said. Just do what she said.
Do what.
Seems like they never catch these hackers.
No.
That's a good point. I mean,
So
all of
rare.
these breaches. Where are all the arrests to go along with it? They're few and far between.
No, they hand out Hero of the Soviet Union awards.
Yeah. Do you think it's governmental?
I think it's governments that don't care enough to enforce against their own citizens. I wonder if Russians hack Russians, if that isn't a bigger deal than if Russians hack everybody else.
We certainly know the Chinese government has a very effective and active hacker corps working for it, but they're not hacking you and me. They're hacking U.S. companies.
They're not interested in splash hacks. They're interested in proprietary.
Is that the term,
software
splash hacks?
I just made it up. I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
Splash hacks.
Splash hacks.
Splash hacks.
That's your new book. Splash hacks. 50 of the world's greatest.
Good book.
Headline grabbing. Meh.
Splash hacks.
Splash hacks.
What would Harvey Levine say?
Oh, he would love that.
Loves the splash hacks.
How's this work again?
Let's take a break. Roberto Baldwin is here. He used to work for Harvey. Now he works at Engadget. Much more respectable. And we'd love having you in.
Yay.
Yeah. Come here anytime. Bring your band next time. Let's do some rock and roll.
Yeah, you should end the show with a performance.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
Sing
do a Prince
the show
tribute.
out.
I can do a Prince tribute.
Yeah.
Sing the show out.
Can you do When Doves Cry? Come on.
Oh, I'm working on that. Oh,
that's a hard one.
The Prince screams are. It's like I have to work on the scream for each song.
Yeah, because it's
individually.
Different.
Yeah,
he didn't like to duplicate screams.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it would. It's
every
really,
scream was a unique little.
It's really tough, and every no one cares about this. Really,
not easy being a Prince tribute band.
It is not.
But you do the lead, so you have to sing. You have to sing.
I'm not singing all the songs. I sing, I think, most of the songs.
David Coursey is here also, my good friend, longtime tech watcher and pundit. He's worked pretty much everywhere. Currently available, if anybody's interested. He and his dog Scruffy. They'll come along.
Hold on, I can get Scruff. Here comes
Screen
Scruffy.
screen grab. Everybody grab your screen. It's the kinder, gentler David Coursey.
Scruffy the dog. Yes.
You have mellowed a little, David. You used to be a fire-breathing dragon.
Put me in your chair and I'll be a fire-breathing dragon.
Really?
Oh.
Yes.
Is that a promise?
I promise.
Because I'd like to go on vacation soon. I could take some time off. Also,
I'll have
here.
the whole studio moved by the time.
We'll be in Tracy. I'll come back and say, where'd the studio go? It's in Tracy. Scruffy has it now. Also from Fusion.net, the wonderful Kashmir Hill. Great to have you. Do people call you Kash?
A lot of people call me Kash.
Do you like it?
Yeah, do you like it is a better question.
Kind of my internet name. I mean, it's my Twitter handle is Kash Hill.
Now, is it Kash or Cash?
I prefer Kash.
Not
That's what
Cash.
people do call me Kash.
Cash.
I
like
don't like
Cash.
Kash because it's like business casual or something.
Oh.
Like casual Friday. He's like, no.
Kashmir Hill
I work
is
for a living.
the mullet of tech reporters. She's business in front and cash in back. Kashmir
the
in
first time
front.
I've been called that.
No, I don't know. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. I'm sorry. I apologize. Our show today brought to you by Squarespace. And David, just jump in anytime. Squarespace.
I love Squarespace.
It's where I do my blog. LeoLaporte.com.
It's inexpensive. It always is there. They have great technical support. I'm not a big user of the most current version. N5FDL.com is on an earlier version, and I've been using it for 5
you
or
got to
6
try the
years.
new Squarespace. It's so awesome.
Oh, I have tried it. It is really cool. And if you have lots of cool pictures, it helps.
Yeah.
It's great for artwork. I mean, if you have anything visual, I can't imagine if you had a gallery or something or a bunch
perfect
of
for that.
products.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have pictures, it's great.
Like pictures of Scruffy?
Scruffy? It could be the Scruffy
World,
Cam.
I could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scruffy World.
They now have Scruffy World. They now have these new templates. You were talking about the new kind of modern style. They now have these grid-style landing page. They're 5 new magazine-style templates. Grid-style landing pages, infinite scroll, related posts appear at the bottom. Author profiles. You can have multiple contributors. You know, I see magazines and you know, places, you know, saying how great our CMS is, and they must spend millions of dollars on this stuff. So easy to do a magazine on Squarespace. I don't know why more of them don't just do it. It's the ultimate CMS, and you can do it all right there. In fact, I do it for my blog, and it's just me. But so many people use Squarespace. Squarespace has commerce too. In fact, it's the only platform that lets the commerce, the shopping cart, look exactly the same as your design. It all is seamless, and I really like them for that. Go to squarespace.com and take a look at it. Members who have built or contributed to more than to 3 or more active Squarespace websites will have access to Squarespace Circle. Circle membership includes advanced guides, optimized support, 6-month trial periods, 6-month trial periods for new projects, and more. That is a nice deal to kind of reward you, a frequent flyer plan for Squarespace users. And by the way, they now do domains. They'll sell domains directly. So if you have like David did, you have an idea for a site, but you haven't yet set up the site, they will sell you a domain name from the 200 of the top level domains. That's pretty much all of them. And then you register your domain, and they give you a beautiful spam-free parking page until you're ready to start building. So, and you can use the cover pages even just to create a cover page of, you know, you and Scruffy right there on the front.
It is gorgeous.
It's easy.
Squarespace is gorgeous. It's easy. It is highly flexible. You can change it on the fly. Back during the big flood in New York, I think it was Sandy, their generator for their data center was like up on the 16th floor of their building, and they were huffing diesel fuel, 16 flights of stairs in order to keep the servers going.
They are committed.
That takes a little bit of, I was trading support mails with them. He says, keep going, keep going, keep going. And it was incredible what they were doing.
Committed to your
keep my
uptime.
website, to keep my website going. It was remarkable.
You cannot bring a Squarespace site down. We've tried again and again and again. It's just fantastic. Look, I wanted you to try it. You can try it for free always at squarespace.com, but if you decide to buy 10% off, which means you should buy, you know, like whole year plan and get the maximum savings if you use the offer code TWIT. Squarespace.
No credit card required.
I know. I like that. You just set up a site and try it. We have a friend, Alex Lindsay, who he'll go to a business, typically a restaurant, and say, "Where's your website?" And they said, "We don't have one." And before the meal is over, he'll set up a Squarespace site for them. Said, "You got 2 weeks. Enjoy." And if you want it, just, you know, pay him. But I designed a site for you. It's, I think, really cool. Squarespace.com. Zuck is going to do a live Q&A on Facebook. What do you guys think about what's going on with Facebook? They're really moving into the media, becoming a media company.
They're moving into just doing as many things as possible to not become MySpace, I think.
Well, Facebook
like,
Live.
Let's VR, let's do live, let's do
Facebook
this.
Live's pretty impressive. You saw Mark interviewing the International Space Station astronauts on Facebook Live. That was kind of cool. He's going to do the same thing for himself. They're going to, June 14th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, they're going to let you ask questions of Mark Zuckerberg. I think that's a brave thing to do. I can't think of a lot of other CEOs.
Well, it's brave in the fact that everything's going to go through filters.
But it is live.
Yeah, but they'll still have. I mean, they've had the live sort of like.
Yeah, actually, the president,
town halls.
President's done it, so it can't. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to be answering every like crazy hard question.
Yeah.
That people are like, why are you deleting people's synced photos from their phones and making us download moments instead? That's probably not going to get
not going to make it through.
He'll already have an answer for that.
Right.
Another thing to think about with this is it going to become like, say, a television network with pre-scheduled stuff? For example, former Secretary Robert Reich, the Bernie supporter, has scheduled like 12 noon on Thursdays or something. He does office hours and does those cool drawings and answers questions and stuff like that. And if you happen to know it, you'll know to tune in. And if you're on at the time, you may see a note that says, Robert Reich is live now. But at what point do I go to a directory of everybody who's going to be on in the next 3 or 4 days? I mean, is that really Facebook or is that something else? I don't know the answer to that question.
Periscope does that. A lot of people do that, right? I think that's a nice thing to do, a directory. But they haven't done that.
I think that would be a smart idea. That doesn't mean Facebook.
I don't know if it's a nice thing to do. I think that sort of breaks the relationship between users and the communities that they have. But it's also part of the tasty videos that show up all the time, and all of this new video content that's designed, and they do a pretty good job. Once they started telling the story in captions rather than making you listen to it, those things became really useful, and people are, I watch a lot of them now because you just scroll past, you watch it till you're bored, you're scrolling up. I'm sorry to do that with my hand, and it goes away. But what does that do to Facebook? Overall, I don't know. I say Facebook's more useful than it used to be. Still a lot of things wrong with Facebook, particularly if you're trying to be an administrator or try to do a nonprofit or something like that on Facebook. But I like Facebook now a lot more than I did 2 years ago, which is sort of saying something.
I'm sad to say, by the way, this is a great service that Facebook does, the Facebook Safety Check. They've never had to use it in the U.S. until, I'm sad to say, today. This is they've used it in other disasters and terrorist attacks. Remember Paris, where you could go, you could find your friends who were in the Orlando area after the horrific shooting at the nightclub last night. And so they're the first time they've activated this. And you can go there and see if your friends are in the affected area. And if you are in the affected area, you can let your friends know if you're safe. But that is a sad thing, and yet I have to commend them. I mean, I think they do a good job. They took some heat for the choice of places that they would use this safety check.
Because they did Paris, but not was it Beirut
or
no, Turkey?
Turkey, yeah,
Istanbul,
I'm sorry. Yeah, they did Paris, but they didn't do
right. But
they're learning.
Enough bad things are happening. You probably could do it all the time. I'm sorry to say.
I mean, Facebook's a company. They're there to make money. I think these sort of features are socially, not just talking about social, but are great. And to your argument that is it going to be like a television station? Is there going to be a schedule? I can see Facebook probably doing that in the future with something like with the live videos.
I think they want to be careful not to look like a media outlet, right?
But they want everyone to go to. They want you to stay within there. Yeah. And if they can say, well, this person that you follow is going to be showing a video at Thursdays at noon, we can put it in like events.
You know where maybe an opportunity for Facebook. Both Facebook and Google are going to be big presences at the Republican and Democratic nominating conventions this year. And while there may not be a lot of news there, there's also the potential that there could be big news in either convention if Bernie Sanders takes on Hillary Clinton or the Republican elite take on Donald Trump. There could be a lot of stories there. And at this point, I still, like from the primary night, still went to CNN or MSNBC. But I think that we're close to an inflection point where people will go to Facebook because there'll be news, there'll be live video. there'll be their friends, there'll be conversation, that it might be a better place to get that kind of story.
Because you can't, if you share a live video, you can have that conversation with your friends in the comments. I can't have that conversation on CNN. I can't have it on MSNBC.
It becomes much more interactive.
Yeah. If Fusion is there and they're doing a live video, if Engadget's there.
Do you guys use that Facebook at all at Fusion?
Yeah, I was actually watching Facebook Live today with Jorge Ramos, who is our excellent anchor, and he was driving to Orlando and just talking about, Obama's statements about the Orlando shooting and, what he was hoping to do in Orlando. So yeah, we've been using it a bit.
What's your sense? Is it working? Is it a useful platform?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the thing is, Facebook is just such a huge audience. Like, I'm shocked you guys don't do This Week in Tech through Facebook Live as well.
I've thought about it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, if you're a media outlet, it's great to get more eyeballs on you. But at the same time, you go to Facebook, and in a way, you're playing in Facebook's land.
You're giving up everything to Facebook.
They're getting it all.
Hold on, Leo, see if they will pay you to do this. They pay the New York Times. They should pay Leo Laporte.
I worry about my audience, too, because, I mean, what are they doing with the information they're gleaning about the people going there to watch that? I just don't know. I'm really torn about it, and I don't think there's a rush to get there. I think it's okay if I say I'm going to wait a year and see. I don't know. It's an interesting question. If I'm Fusion, I do it for sure. If I'm Fusion, absolutely. I mean, Fusion.
I was going to say you may have to try to replace Kashmir Hill's show.
No.
She'll already be there, and you won't.
Well,
you don't have a use.
So Fusion is a television network, as a cable network, as much as it is a website. I think it's very interesting, as long as the cable companies don't give you a hard time. When we did Tech TV, it was in our cable contracts. You may not put more than 10 minutes of an hour on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to undermine our nicely paying cable customers by giving them the chance to look at this over the top. I bet you those days are gone. I bet you Fusion doesn't have to make those deals anymore.
I am not intimately familiar with our contract, our cable contract, but on Super Tuesday we did like the traditional show on air with the election results coming in, and then we also had a Facebook Live show at the same time. So it was really interesting.
Was it not?
Was it going back and forth between?
So, but it was a different. It was a different show.
No, it was the same show.
It was
broadcast in both places at the same time.
So clearly you don't have those restrictions. And if I were, and absent those restrictions, I would have done it. We would have done it on Tech TV, because one of the hardest things about doing cable television is getting into cable homes. It's murder. It's hugely expensive. Paul Allen spent more than $300 million, lost more than $300 million trying to get into 44 million homes. The internet, you go on Facebook, you're in 1.5 billion people's browsers instantly at no cost to you. And so if I were, today, I think you absolutely do that. You absolutely go to Facebook, as long as you don't have restrictions preventing you from doing that. It's just more eyeballs. Why not? It's so easy. Instead of having to say, I want to get on Comcast, you say, well, I'm on Facebook. Plus, you get the value of people are browsing and they're going to come across it. I think it's easier to get in front of people by doing that.
You can share everything.
And they interact with you.
Yeah.
Which is also very interesting. We did, when Facebook Live came out, I did a little bit of one of our shows. Actually, I did the whole thing on Facebook Live. And we got some good engagement. I can't remember. It was 36,000, something like that, 40,000 views. I don't know.
It's fun to be live. I did.
Well, we're live. I mean, that's the thing is I don't need. This is the other side of that equation. Is we've been doing this for 10 years. I don't need Facebook Live because I figured out how to do it without
live
Facebook
for a while.
Yeah,
at least a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks now. A couple of weeks now. Yeah. In a way, I feel bad because, like God, I spent a lot of money inventing this. Then along comes Facebook.
Darn it!
And it made it easy. All you kids,
phone and a.
Anybody could do it. Our show today brought to you by FreshBooks, a super simple cloud accounting system. When I was a freelancer, it was the biggest pain. I loved doing what I did. I loved my work. I loved doing the shows. I loved it. The thing I hated, on the 30th of every month, sitting down and doing invoices, hated it so much, I often didn't do it. And you know what I learned? You don't send an invoice, you don't get paid. And that wasn't a really tenable situation. Fortunately, I was very lucky. I knew somebody named Amber MacArthur, and we were up there in Toronto doing the TV show up there, and she said, and I was complaining about sending invoices. I think I was telling her the story of not sending invoices for 6 months and then getting in trouble with the accounting department when I finally sent 6 months of invoices all at once. She said, Leo, you got to find out about FreshBooks. It was just starting up about 10 years ago in Toronto. They are great. Great. Now 5 million small business owners use FreshBooks to create their invoices, to send them out, to get paid faster, to keep track of time and hours with their app, to get insights into what they're doing. You can find out whether a client's paid you or not. If you can find out whether a client looked at the invoice or not. No more can clients say, oh, your invoice, I didn't get that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And if the client is slow to pay, FreshBooks takes care of it. They'll send out a little polite reminder to help you get paid faster. I wish they'd had this too. They have a new feature, project deposit feature, super handy. You can invoice for a payment up front when you're kicking off a project so you don't have to pay out of pocket and wait to get reimbursed. That's just a small token of all the fun, fabulous things FreshBooks can do for you. You didn't get into business to do the paperwork, but you got to do it. Let FreshBooks help. If you are a provider that goes into people's homes, maybe you're a contractor, a plumber, maybe you set up AV systems, you'll love their EMV chip card-enabled card reader that goes right into the FreshBooks software. You plug it into your iPhone. You can do the whole thing without leaving the premises. You present them with your bid. They accept it. You do the work. You present them with the invoice. They sign it. And then you pull out the card reader, and they can dip the chip or swipe the stripe and pay you right there on the spot. All through FreshBooks. It's awesome. Try it today. 30 days free. FreshBooks.com/twit. It is amazing. We do want to, since we mentioned the Orlando tragedy, we do want our hearts and prayers go out to all the people in Orlando. It's just a terrible thing. Pride Week is normally such a celebration here in the Bay Area and all over the world, and what a terrible pall to put over it. And my God, 50 people. Just it's unimaginable, unimaginable. You were saying before the show, David, that you can blame the internet for this. Is that what you said?
Depending on how the shooter was radicalized. Certainly we know that ISIS uses the internet as a major tool, that everything that makes the world a little smaller, inexpensive.
They're very savvy, aren't they? Yeah.
They're the savviest thing we've ever come up against. And it's hard for us to defeat them. Yeah. I mean, they have lots of advantages in this that just being big doesn't give you. So,
but in a way, I'm going to say that that's the argument against democracy in general and freedom in general, is that some will take advantage of that. And of course, you could say, well, we need a police state. That's the way to security. But it's not the way we want to live. Yeah. And so, yes, of course, they can take advantage of these things, but do we want to live in a place where, maybe we're a little safer, but there's a little less freedom? I don't think so, and I don't think that's the choice we want to make.
That's not necessarily the choice. With the internet is, would you like to be a little safer, or do you want one-day Amazon delivery? Would it be okay if you just went up to the Target store?
Wait a minute. What does Amazon delivery have to do with?
I'm just saying that the technology that enables all of these cool things that we like also enables all kinds of terrible things that we don't like. Yeah. And we haven't found a good way to have the good stuff without also enabling the bad stuff.
That's just humans. Always.
Yeah.
That's a problem we've always had as a species. Is that we can't have good stuff without bad stuff, because people are people. People are people, and they can be incredibly horrible. I mean, and this.
But I'd still choose freedom. And what I hate to see is the FBI, and I'm sure that the FBI and federal law enforcement is doing this because they want to protect us. I'm not in any way implying that they have some subterranean agenda to take over the planet. Mm-hmm. But they continue to push for new powers, new ways to invade in our privacy. You probably saw what the Department of Justice published or proposed a rule change that would let the FBI's NGI, or Next Generation Identification Database, be exempt of the Privacy Act. This is a fingerprint, face print, iris scan, information like scent, your smell, your gait, your voice prints, all sorts of biometric information about people. People not only who have been arrested, but people who have applied for jobs and got FBI background checks, anything they can collect, exempt from any privacy protections. The DOJ wants to allow the FBI to make judgments about people based on what they know from that database, even if it's not accurate. Bar ordinary people from getting information from the database about what's in there, so you can't verify it. No, I don't smell like that. That's not my scent. I'm a Chanel No. 5 guy. Bar people from correcting inaccurate information held about them. And, probably most important, provide itself immunity so that the FBI cannot be sued if it violates your rights or breaks the law using this next generation identification system. They want access to your internet records without a warrant. They're seeking congressional authority to expand the NSL, the National Security Letters, so that they can be used to get information about you and about your browsing, your internet history. And by the way, no judge ever sees those subpoenas, let alone approves them. I mean, it just goes on and on. I agree. We want to live in a safer world. We don't want ISIS to win by any means. But what are we willing to give up?
Yeah, it really seems like the government response to terror attacks has just been like, we need more information. We need to be able to gather more information. Encryption is getting in our way, and so we've seen a bill introduced to make end-to-end encryption that can't be broken impossible. But the other thing that these attacks have in common is the use of guns. And we just haven't seen much movement on that beyond, the Obama executive order about putting more resources into developing smart gun technology. Right. But still, if somebody buys a gun, then smart gun technology is going to allow them to use it. So it's interesting that we keep focusing on information gathering and not on the other part of these attacks.
Well, for better or for worse, go ahead.
I will hazard a guess that none of you have ever sat in a sheriff's department office at 3 o'clock in the morning when there was a missing child, looking at very confidential information about sex offenders, trying to figure out if any of those sex offenders might have something to do with the missing child. And I will tell you that if I could have gotten more information about those people, I would have done whatever was necessary to get that child home.
I understand that, David, but if you were in that database inaccurately and you had no way to know it or correct it, that would be a huge offense against you, wouldn't it?
If you don't have the kid and we knock on your door and say, sir, might you have a kid? And you say no and we walk away, how much damage was done to you?
Yeah.
Usually
still
they
in that
knock
database
on your door.
Yeah, it's usually not a knock on your door. And it's also the government's MO has been to get information from everybody. So now it's just got all this noise. They're not getting a lot of signal with their...
Well, that's a larger question.
Yeah,
is this even
let's
effective?
Just get everybody. Let's get all the metadata, and that doesn't help them. Instead of targeting, individuals, they're targeting everyone, which creates a huge problem.
On Friday, the deputy director of the NSA said that they are looking to use the Internet of Things, and specifically biomedical devices, to collect information about people. They want to spy on your pacemaker. They want to gather information about you on biomedical devices installed in you. And of course, I agree with you, David. I understand their heart is in the right place. We're not saying that. I'm not saying that, and I think there are people saying that. I'm not willing to say that the NSA is somehow extra governmental and trying to take over our liberties. I think they're working to make us safer. They believe this is what they need to do to make us safer. But at the same time, I think this is a constitutional republic, and we have certain protections. And I think overstepping those protections because they think it makes us safer is not a good solution.
Well, show me the damages. We remember J. Edgar Hoover. We remember Richard Nixon. Where are the people who claim damages because of these programs. I think a lot of people think they're way too special. Think that somehow there's something that is knowable about them that everybody is going to care about and is going to be incredibly. No, they don't care. There's so much data out there. They have to really want to come and get you in particular in order to use this
the thing
information.
is that what if they do want to come and get you and they find out that you've broken the law, not where you live, but maybe in 3 states over. But they have that information on you.
You broke the law.
And they can use that information if you're a target. They can use minor offenses.
You're verging on that statement of, well, if you have nothing to fear, why would you? If you've done nothing wrong, why would you fear this? And that really, you're not saying that, right?
No, but it's the trade-off. If you want a Fitbit on your wrist and you know it's not secure because they're not very secure, if you want a browser that you know is not very secure, it's a trade-off that you make that people are going to, rightly or wrongly, be able to get at your data. That's what I was getting at is the convenience of the internet worth the crime, the hidden tax in everything we do for internet crime that we don't even add up because people, if we knew it, people would revolt on the internet if they knew how much theft occurs over the internet. So it just never comes up how much banks pay, how much credit card companies pay, how much everybody pays in order for us to have the convenience of the internet.
Yeah.
Is that convenience worth what we're paying for it in dollars, in security, in whatever? Should consumers be able to make a better equation of what they give and what they get? Because we already, with all of these terms of services we all sign, God only knows how much data that we willingly give to businesses that we don't want the government to have. Well,
Right,
that's
but
foolishness.
businesses can't throw us into prison.
Yeah, I'm not going to get thrown in business by Fitbit.
No, businesses just make sure you never get an apartment.
I do think you need to keep in mind that there are many damages that you yourself have not had to suffer. I mean, people that end up on terror watch lists, people who can't fly because they end up on a list. I mean, with the recent death of Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King were put under essentially illegal surveillance for their beliefs. I mean, this is stuff that has happened and will continue to happen. And so you do need boundaries on the kind of information gathering that happens so that those terrible edge cases that really threaten civil liberties don't happen.
I don't know that Martin Luther King being surveilled threatened my civil liberties, but
threatened his.
Hold on, we found
and it's
out
sort of
about
and it tried
it.
to undermine the civil rights movement.
Yeah, we found out he was having affairs and a bunch of other things. But no, I'm saying those things shouldn't happen.
J. Edgar Hoover wrote him a letter saying you should commit suicide. Here's what we know about you.
And if we had told
admittedly, that was a long time ago, but I have to say there's plenty of evidence of government malfeasance with this information, and giving them more information is not making them any more responsible.
Not as recent malfeasance. I agree with you about J. Edgar Hoover, the man who couldn't be fired because of what he knew about everybody and had real-life physical agents.
There you
everywhere. No, he should have been in jail. No question about that.
Yeah. But you don't think there's a chance of a modern J. Edgar Hoover using this information inappropriately?
That we're unaware of?
If you do want to find out about more recent malfeasance, I mean, talk to animal rights activists who have really, in the last 10 years, had kind of horrible things done to them.
Really? That's interesting.
In the name of surveillance. It is surprising.
Yeah. I have I have nothing to back this up. I don't have any information to back. After 9/11, I was on Greenpeace and PETA's mailing lists. I'm a vegetarian. I believe in animal rights, blah, blah, blah. I flew for the next 5 years post 9/11. I was always pulled aside for all my luggage being checked. I couldn't fly anywhere without, they're like, oh, we've randomly pulled you aside to check your luggage every time.
I read just a devastating.
And I don't have any facts. I mean, it could have been completely random. I mean, the odds are pretty high, but
I think there's a lot of evidence this goes on. I read a very disturbing piece in Medium this week by a UI designer who was trying to go to England to give a talk, who was detained for 2 days and then eventually deported for really no apparent reason, but just kind of petty, bureaucracy. And really, it was a shameful story. That was just devastating. I can't find it. I'm going to try to find her name and give you a link to it. But
the TSPA people were very nice to me about it, but I was
Yeah, they're polite.
They were very polite the entire time when they were going through all of my, luggage. But, it's hard not to, and I'm no longer on this list.
You're only saying that because you want to be able to fly
I'm already
freely.
on a list now.
Yeah, you're back on
So I'm
it,
on a
baby.
list, and then you start covering security, and you're definitely on another list, and then,
And I think that's what's so hard about it is when it's that kind of Kafka-esque. You have this sense that you're on a list.
Insults.
You're probably on a list.
Yeah.
But there's no way for you to check, and there's no way for you to challenge it. And that is what is at the heart of that debate over this database that the FBI has. Just the idea that they're making it even harder to do anything about it if you're kind of in there wrongfully, or if there's information that's incorrect about you in databases. Even Uber and Lyft actually signed onto the letter of all these civil liberty organizations objecting to the secrecy of that biometric database.
Wow.
Well, and right now we have people, though, whose heads are exploding because the apparent killer in Orlando had been interviewed twice by the FBI, but was still able to go out and buy weapons, I guess, last week that were used in this assault. And these people say, well, how could they let him do this when he had been interviewed by the FBI twice and they let him go? And you say, because he was an American citizen, stupid.
Right. So it's called civil liberties. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like that, but what do you do until we come up with something better to predict crime and radicalization? What do we do?
I don't think we're gonna.
Don't sell people AR-15s.
Yeah, that would be with big.
I grew up a
big
lot
magazines.
of guns, and I've shot an AR-15. I'm from a small town, and so my we've always had guns. When I was 8 years old, that was my birthday present. Was a gun.
An AR-15.
No,
Nice.
I got a 22.
How big
I got
was
a
the
20.
clip?
When I graduated from high school, I got a 9mm. Like this is the culture I'm from, and then now I'm a vegetarian. I live in San Francisco. Blah blah blah. But
you wonder why
an assault rifle is.
That's no hunt. You
just
hunt with it.
Yeah. It's only for killing people. That is exactly what it's made for, and it shouldn't be sold to people. And this is and like I said, I grew up with guns, and I've actually shot these guns, and they're frightening because you're like, when am I going to shoot with this besides a human?
Right. Well, I hate to end on a down note, but I think this is a good place to.
Siri's going to be updated tomorrow. Tony Awards. There we go.
John's jumping it down because we want to go home and watch the Tony Awards. Or as we're calling them around here, the Hamiltonies. Exactly.
Yes.
I feel bad. I have a friend who was nominated for a Tony Award this year. And I sent him a note saying, well, I'm sorry it was this year. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Boy, this was great. Lots of fun. Kashmir Hill, you're fabulous. Please come back. We love having you on fusion.net and Kash Hill on the Twitter. And what are you working on these days? Anything?
Sorry, in my head, I'm just making like Game of Tonys jokes. What am I working on? The usual privacy security stuff. We didn't even talk about my IP mapping story.
I love that
we'll have
story.
To talk about next time I'm on.
It's not too old. I guess we could talk about it. I mean, that.
No. That's the end. But we can talk about it next time.
I loved that story. I forgot to mention that. This was the one where it turns out there are a handful of companies that are matching IP addresses to locations, and there's this one poor family in the Midwest who people are constantly coming to their house, yelling at them.
And FBI agents and IRS agents, and it turned out that they were sometimes an IP mapping database, they don't know like exactly where an IP address is, and so they'll assign it to a default location in a state or in a city, and they had one that was the default location for the entire United States, and
it's in Kansas, an hour out of Wichita,
rural farmhouse in Kansas.
And so every time you think you've been scammed or spammed or stolen from on the internet, and they don't know where it was, they just know the IP address is somewhere in the U.S., it's this farmhouse in Kansas that gets shown on the map. And these poor people, how long have they lived there?
It's been in the family, the Volgaman actually, her maiden name, for 100 years. And I met her. She grew up on the farm without electricity initially. They didn't get an indoor bathroom until she was 15, and so it's just amazing that this place is became like the center of the internet and had all of these problems. But anyways, I'm kind of like on the lookout for another good internet mystery like that. So
I want to nominate you for a Pulitzer for this story because it was awesome. And it came out in April, which is the only reason I didn't bring it up. But I've been meaning to say thank you because what an incredible what work you did, put into this. And it was MaxMind. It was a company that does internet mapping, mapping IP addresses to physical locations. Just decided, if it's in the continental United States, we don't know any better. We'll put it here in Kansas at this people's house.
It was so crazy. But if there are any This Week in Tech viewers who have some insane tech mystery, some insane tech problem that they want to tell me about, I have gotten great stories from viewers in the past.
Yes.
So please send them to me. I'm at Kash on Twitter, and my DMs are open, which is unfortunate. I get a lot of spam and
she's brave. I wouldn't
pics
do
of
that.
inappropriate things.
Never in a million years would I do that. By the way, did you write the subtitle, The Hills Have IPs? Was that your...
I'm very punny.
Because that's good. That's a double Pulitzer for that. You get the Pulitzer Pun Award. Thank you, Kash. Great to have you. Thank you so much, Roberto Baldwin. Always. Really yeah, you guys are great. This was a good panel. We'll do this. We'll get this group together one more time.
Yeah, party.
Yeah. Roberto Baldwin. His Prince tribute is coming up.
July 8th. San Francisco at the Rickshaw Stop.
At the Rickshaw Stop.
So if you live in the city or in the Bay Area,
come see him.
You love Prince, you want to come and sing along, that's like, I'm like, I want people to like come and like, I want everyone singing, I want everyone dancing. It's, It
says,
we have a vocoder we're using for that.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, we got a vocoder for that. So. Yeah, that's
hard.
They're like, can you make that noise? I'm like, wait, we have a vocoder on this synth over here.
It's for. For all we know, that's how Prince did it.
Yeah, I'm sure it was probably a vocoder.
Yeah. And of course, you catch Roberto on Engadget.
Engadget.com.
Mention your day job too.
I know
you're
I write about technology and cars and security and stuff.
And David Coursey, what a thrill to get you. I was going to say back, but since you've never been on, get you on for the first time. I think we worked together.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we've worked together. But anyway, I remember you fondly. And by the way, you lived up to your billing. You were great. Thank you for being here.
What was my billing? Hold on. Did the dog get into my billing?
You're the dragon, the tech dragon. There you go. Right there.
Well, you said I was nicer than you remembered me as.
Yeah, I thought you were kind of a firebrand in your youth.
You almost lived up to your billing.
Almost.
Well, as I said, give me the chair. I'll come raise hell.
I need a dragon, my friend. I need a dragon. The mother of dragons, David Coursey.
And God bless the people in Orlando.
Yes, absolutely.
Khaleesi Coursey.
Yeah, it's Khaleesi Coursey.
Well, I have Ask Mr. Cynic is one of my handles.
That's good,
and
too.
Tech Insider was the other one, so,
That's good, too. Hey, thank you all for being here. We thank our live audience for joining us. Email tickets at twit.tv. We'll put a chair out for you. We'd love having you in the studio. Everybody watching at home, too, we do this show 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's 2200 UTC if you want to tune in live and join us at irc.twit.tv, our chat room. If you can't, though, on-demand versions of all the shows available at the website, twit.tv, and also wherever you get your podcasts. Just subscribe. That way you'll get every episode. We don't want you to miss an episode. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can. Bye-bye. Yay! Yay! You guys are so good.